Chapter 265, Entering the Creek of Affinity Mystic Realm. 4. Why didn't you say so earlier then? What if it's too late? Leng Ruoxue roared angrily as she grabbed Butterfly in her hand. Girl! You're not gentle again. Boo-hoo! Tears streamed down Butterfly's small black eyes like rain. Suddenly, a strong light shone on Leng Ruoxue. After the light faded, Leng Ruoxue and Butterfly disappeared from the living room. This place. Leng Ruoxue looked at the scenery in front of her and pondered in her heart. Is this the Creek of Affinity Mystic Realm? But isn't this place a little too disappointing? At this moment, Leng Ruoxue was standing in the middle of an open space. Not far in front of her was an inconspicuous forest. Moreover, the forest was not very big from what she could see. Behind her was a river, and she saw boundless white fog when she looked past the river. She couldn't see anything clearly, and the left and right sides were covered in white fog that stretched as far as the eye could see. Butterfly stopped in front of Leng Ruoxue and said with a face full of pride, "Girl, this is my home." Pretty good, isn't it? There were no traces of crying in its bright black eyes. Not bad, my foot. What kind of damn place is this? Cold sweat dripped down Leng Ruoxue's forehead, and her heart was on fire. This place really made her unhappy. Apart from the small forest in front of her and the river behind her, there was nothing else. Moreover, the spiritual energy in the air here was not dense enough. In short, its reputation was only good until she saw it in person. Girl, don't get angry so soon. Actually, this place is really good, but you need to explore it yourself. Your first stop is the forest in front of you. You can only be teleported to other places after you pass through that forest, and this first stage is also the safest. Girl, you're really lucky. There are the most good things in forests in this mystic realm, Butterfly said excitedly. Where else can I be teleported to? Leng Ruoxue asked curiously after hearing what Butterfly said. But her doubts didn't reduce at all because this forest was too small. She could see the end of it with a single look. Deserts, oceans, canyons, mountain ranges, and so on. But teleporting to forests is the best for you, Butterfly explained. I'll believe you for now. Leng Ruoxue said after some thought and then let everyone out. After everyone emerged, they were very calm because they had heard the conversation between Leng Ruoxue and Butterfly. Sure, let's set off since we can only go to other places if we pass through the forest, Ling Qingtian said eagerly while rubbing his palms. He was really too curious about this legendary creek of Affinity Mystic Realm. Let's go. Leng Ruoxue said when she saw everyone was impatient to see the legendary Mystic Realm. Go, go. Everyone was excited as they walked into the forest together. After entering the forest, Leng Ruoxue knew that she was wrong. She shouldn't have judged the forest by its appearance because there were herbs everywhere here, many of which covered the paths, and some were abnormally precious. Moreover, the interior of this forest was not small at all. Don't move. Don't step on any herbs. Lu Yan, an alchemist, shouted excitedly, giving everyone a fright. Stinky brat, why are you shouting so loudly? We aren't deaf. Old man rapped Lu Yan on the head and deliberately scolded him angrily. Hee hee. Lu Yan only smiled foolishly. Lu Yan is right. Everyone, be careful not to step on the herbs, Leng Ruoxue said with some amusement. Alas, Lu Yan's love for herbs is even crazier than mine. Sure, what should we do now? Leng Ruhan asked, not daring to move. Go ahead. We can't waste so many herbs, Leng Ruoxue said matter-of-factly. A few drops of cold sweat rolled down everyone's foreheads. How long would they have to pick since there was so much grass? Hee, I have good news for you. You won't be able to leave this area until you've harvested all the herbs here, Butterfly said happily as it danced in front of everyone. What? This piece of news was not good news at all. It was simply a waste of time. But they soon accepted their fate. After all, Butterfly was the local tyrant. They could not believe what others said, but they had to believe what the local tyrant said. Moreover, why was Butterfly so excited? Leng Ruoxue gave Butterfly an approving look. Ha, it was the first time she realized that Butterfly was a little useful. Otherwise, she wouldn't have the heart to get them to pick all the herbs. After accepting their fate, they all squatted down and began picking at the nearest spot to them. Ah! What is this? Suddenly, a cry of surprise sounded. What's the matter? What's the matter? Lin Yuan, why are you overreacting? Leng Qingtian said with slight displeasure. He was the closest to Lin Yuan, so the voice reached his ears the loudest, giving him a fright. No, what do you think this is? Lin Yuan said aggrievedly. Immediately, everyone's gaze followed Lin Yuan's line of sight, only to see a light yellow ball covered in fluffy fur at the root of an unknown herb. The ball was about the size of a palm and had two equally round big eyes on it. At this moment, those pitch-black and bright eyes that were like the night sky were looking at Lin Yuan furiously, as if Lin Yuan was its enemy. Miss, what should we do? Lin Yuan asked while holding the herb in his hand, a little embarrassed. Boo-hoo! What exactly is this little thing? It had no other facial features except for a pair of eyes, and it was strange and scary. Moreover, it was staring at him. Ah! Butterfly suddenly screamed too. Damn Butterfly, why did you scream? Leng Ruoxue asked as she grabbed Butterfly flying in front of her. Hee hee, girl, we're rich, we're rich. That little thing is a treasure-seeking beast. No treasure can escape from us if we have it. Butterfly said excitedly and let out a wretched laugh. Chapter 266, Encounter in the Forest, The Elegant White Tiger, 1, Treasure-Seeking Beast. Leng Ruoxue looked at the furball. She had never known that such a beast existed in the world, but it sounded pretty good. Big sister, I didn't expect there to be a treasure-seeking beast here. Qing Ju's voice sounded in Leng Ruoxue's mind. Qing Ju, have you heard of this thing? Leng Ruoxue asked curiously. Yes. 100,000 years ago, treasure-seeking beasts were the dreams of everyone. But there are basically no more people who know about these beasts now. Moreover, treasure-seeking beasts have long been extinct. This should be the only treasure-seeking beast left. Big sister, you have to think of a way to tame it. That way, all the good treasures in the future will be ours, Qing Ju said excitedly. Ah! Cold sweat dripped down Leng Ruoxue's forehead. How did Qing Ju become such a money grubber? But he was right. If she didn't accept such a good thing, wouldn't others benefit from it? Qing Ju, how can I tame it? Leng Ruoxue was in a dilemma. This little thing seemed very unfriendly. Big sister, its favorite thing is treasures, so try seducing it with treasures, Qing Ju suggested after some thought. Treasures? Leng Ruoxue frowned in thought. But after thinking about it, she realized that she actually didn't have any treasure she could take out. Her best treasure was the Heaven and Earth bracelet, but she couldn't take it out unless this little thing was willing to enter it. Leng Ruoxue pondered for a long time. Finally, she gritted her teeth, took out a spirit fruit, and took a bite. Alas! Forget it. I'll give it a try. Hopefully, it will be useful. But after waiting for a while, the little thing didn't even look at her. Leng Ruoxue could only take out a fruit with richer spiritual energy and eat it. The yellow and fluffy furball seemed to have smelled the fruit. Its small body moved slightly, but not a lot. But the little thing's willingness to respond was already great encouragement to Leng Ruoxue. She continued working hard and directly took out a nearly transparent white fruit. As soon as she took out this fruit, she saw a yellow bolt of lightning quickly pouncing over. By the time everyone reacted, the yellow furball had already appeared in Leng Ruoxue's hand. The little furball hugged the fruit tightly, as though it had discovered a treasure and refused to let go no matter what. Leng Ruoxue looked at the small furball close up and realized that it had a nose and a mouth. They were tiny and covered by its fur, so they weren't easy to notice. Not only that, but the little guy also had a pair of fluffy little wings and a pair of pink and soft little paws. But they were hidden in the furry body, so from the outside, it looked like a furball with big black eyes. Treasure, treasure. A childish voice kept coming out of the yellow furball's mouth, sounding very happy. Big sister has many such treasures. You can have as many as you want as long as you are willing to follow Big Sister, Len Ruoshue said seductively like the big bad wolf seducing Little Red Riding Hood. Really? The furball looked at Len Ruoshue with its big and round black eyes shining brightly. Big Sister doesn't lie to children. Len Ruoshue said very sincerely with a smile on her face. Then I want to eat one of these fruits every day. The furball began to state its conditions. It ate heavenly materials and earthly treasures as its food. Otherwise, it wouldn't like to look for treasures. There's absolutely no problem, Len Ruoshue promised. But she was puzzled. Isn't this little thing afraid of exploding and dying? The amount of spiritual energy in this fruit was so unimaginable that she didn't even dare to eat it. But you have to listen to Big Sister from now on, Len Ruoshue added. Yes. I know a lot of treasures, the furball said ingratiatingly. Finding treasures was its specialty, and it could also improve its strength. After speaking, the little furball actively initiated a soul contract with Len Ruoshue. I'll call you Ball Ball from now on. Len Ruoshue said as she looked at its round body. I have a name. Ball Ball started flying around Len Ruoshue happily. But its chubby little body was really disproportionate to its pair of small wings. Everyone watched it in fear, afraid that it would fall from the air. Hee hee, girl, not bad. It will be much easier to find treasures in the future. Butterfly stopped on Len Ruoxue's head and praised her. Okay, don't just stand there. Hurry up and pick the herbs. Len Ruoshue urged. She really didn't know how long it would take to gather so many herbs. Big Sister, I'll help you. Ball Ball stopped on Len Ruoxue's shoulder after it had enough of flying. Okay. Although Len Ruoshue didn't think that this little thing could help, she couldn't object to it in order not to hurt the immature spirit of a child. In order to showcase its abilities, Ball Ball flew in the sky above a patch of herbs nearby. Starlight would spill out wherever it went. Immediately afterward, herbs emerged from the ground in groups. Ah! For a moment, everyone was dumbfounded. What ability was this? It was really unbelievable. A third of the herbs were gathered in the blink of an eye. Len Ruoshue was at a loss for words. Boo-hoo, she knew that she had guessed wrong again. The things in the mystic realm really couldn't be measured by common sense. Big Sister, I need to rest. Ball Ball landed on Len Ruoxue's shoulder while panting. Okay, good. Let's not rush. Len Ruoshue said anxiously when she saw that Ball Ball was exhausted. She handed it a fruit it liked. Hee hee, thanks, Big Sister. Ball Ball hugged the fruit almost the size of its body with its little paws and began gnawing on it. Leng Qingtian walked to his granddaughter's side and said with satisfaction, Schwer, this little fellow is really good. Little girl, we can save a lot of trouble in the future with this little thing. Old man also came over. Chapter 267, Encounter in the Forest, The Elegant White Tiger, 2, okay. Len Ruoshue nodded. She looked at Ball Ball, who was happily eating with tears in its eyes, and felt her heart soften. What an innocent and cute little fellow. Miss, it's very fierce. It even glared at me just now, Lin Yuan complained. Why are you still being calculative with a child? It was glaring at you because we stole its food. In fact, this little thing is very simple. Len Ruoshue was very biased and spoke up for Ball Ball. That's right. You are already so old. Leng Qingtian glared at Lin Yuan and growled unhappily. Miss. Lin Yuan put on a bitter face and pretended to be pitiful. Unfortunately, no one cared at all. Go pick the herbs quickly. Don't count on Ball Ball for everything, Leng Ruoxue said directly. Okay. Lin Yuan replied and continued to pick the grass resignedly. After Ball Ball's earlier efforts, there were many places they could stand now, and it didn't seem as crowded. So they each chose a spot to pick the grass. Big sister, I'm done resting. Ball Ball then continued working. The amount of herbs on the ground decreased by a third in the blink of an eye. Ball Ball, don't worry about it. Let us do the rest. Leng Ruoxue's heart ached as she looked at Ball Ball panting from exhaustion. She hurriedly handed it a spirit fruit to replenish its stamina. Thank you, big sister, Ball Ball said happily while holding the spirit fruit. Its big eyes almost narrowed into a line from smiling. After getting Ball Ball to rest, she sent the herbs it picked into the bracelet. She also found a place to focus on picking herbs. Wow! Miss, look what I found! Lu Yen suddenly exclaimed excitedly. Everyone looked at Lu Yen and saw that he was holding a golden-colored ginseng that was as thick as an adult's arm. The head of the ginseng even had human features, and it was very clear. Is this a ginseng or a carrot? Why is it so big? Feng De murmured in disbelief. Idiot, of course it's ginseng. Lin Liang gave Feng De a knock on the head, not knowing whether to laugh or cry. Leng Ruoxue looked at the large golden ginseng in surprise and explained, this is a golden ginseng and at least 1,000 years old. Miss, the facial features on this are very clear. Do you think it has developed intelligence? Lu Yen asked curiously. As an alchemist, he was most interested in all sorts of herbs and plants. Moreover, it was extremely rare to see such a large ginseng. It was really too exciting. Bring it here, and let me see, Leng Ruoxue said. Okay. Lu Yen handed the ginseng to Leng Ruoxue and looked at her expectantly. Leng Ruoxue held the golden ginseng in her hand, but she didn't feel any spiritual power fluctuations. Perhaps this ginseng hasn't developed intelligence yet. Suddenly, she seemed to feel fear, but only very slightly. Qingju, has this ginseng developed intelligence? Leng Ruoxue asked uncertainty through telepathy. Big sister, this golden ginseng is about 3,000 years old and has already developed intelligence, but it's not obvious. Big sister, hand it to me. You have to plant it quickly. This ginseng is very timid, Qingju said with a chuckle. Okay. Leng Ruoxue sent the golden ginseng into the bracelet. It already has intelligence, but it's not obvious, Leng Ruoxue explained after talking with Qingju. Wow, I've never seen a wood-type sprite before. Lu Yen said excitedly. Stinky brat, do you think we've seen one before? Those things have long become legends, old Zhao said with slight displeasure as he hit Lu Yen on the head. Hee, miss, when can we see the ginseng sprite? Lu Yen asked with a silly smile. According to the records, only heavenly materials and earthly treasures more than 10,000 years old can produce sprites. This ginseng is only 3,000 years old now, so we'll have to wait, Leng Ruoxue said honestly. Ah. Doesn't that mean there's still 7,000 years? Boo-hoo. I will be dead by then, Lu Yen said with a sad face. Not necessarily. As long as you cultivate diligently, you will live for a very long time, Leng Ruoxue consoled. Yes, I will cultivate diligently. I have to see the legendary wood-type sprites no matter what. Lu Yen said imposingly. Look at you. Are you satisfied just to live another 7,000 years? Feng De said with contempt. What else? Lu Yen scratched his head. This wish wasn't small. Eternal life, of course. Who would be willing to die if they could live forever? Feng De said matter-of-factly. Lu Yen was speechless. He was only a spiritual sovereign now. Eternal life. It was so far away. Moreover, no one knew whether there was eternal life in this world or not. Miss, am I right? Feng De looked at their young lady with a flattering look. Yes, you can indeed treat this as one of your goals, Leng Ruoxue agreed. Alright, let's continue picking. Len Ruoshua continued. 2 hours later, all the herbs on the ground were harvested, including many precious ones, with everyone's efforts. Len Ruoshua looked at the clean open space, and 2 drops of cold sweat dripped down her forehead. Didn't we clear the place too cleanly? Butterfly, do we really have to harvest all of them? Should we leave a few behind? Len Ruoshua couldn't help asking. They should be sustainable, right? Otherwise, won't all these herbs be extinct in the future? Yes, you won't be able to leave until you've harvested all of them. Moreover, even though you've harvested all of them now, the Creek of Affinity Mystic Realm will be full of herbs again when it opens once more in 1,000 years, Butterfly explained while gently flapping its wings. It's really magical. Len Ruoshua was relieved. This place was really worthy of being called a mystic realm. Girl, the road to the front has appeared. Let's go quickly. Butterfly urged. Hee, there were still many good things ahead. Chapter 268, Encounter in the Forest, The Elegant White Tiger, 3, Len Ruoshua looked up and saw a small path appear in the open space. She turned her head and said to everyone, let's go. Let's go and take a look. Everyone walked forward eagerly. What is this? Everyone was dumbfounded at the end of the small path. Before their eyes was a large grove full of fruit trees. Moreover, the path was gone. Heavens! Don't tell me we have to pick all the fruits from the trees. Fengde wailed, feeling as if his head was going to explode. Bingo, you've got it right. Butterfly flew to Fengde and praised him. How can we live like this? Are we here to do manual labor? Guiyong complained with a bitter face. Stop complaining. Everyone, split the trees up and pick quickly. Len Ruoshua ordered. Ball, can you pick these fruits? Lin Yuan asked fawningly while looking at the chubby furball. No, this isn't my specialty, Ball said honestly with narrowed eyes. Hee, girl, this place is huge. You can let the beasts out to help, Butterfly reminded her understandingly. Okay. Len Ruoshua nodded. With a thought, she released all her beasts. Feng Zhan, Silver Wings, everyone, help pick some. Len Ruoshua ordered. Yes, master. The 2 beasts acknowledged and then arranged for their clan to help. Schwer, I want to come out too. The little silver mink sent Len Ruoshua a voice transmission pitifully. Little mink, we need to work. Stay inside obediently. I'll let you out later, Len Ruoshua comforted. I can help too. The little silver mink pouted his pink lips a little gloomily. Boo-hoo, he knew that Schwer was afraid that he would be tired, but he wanted to be with her. Fine. Len Ruoshua could only let the little mink out. Seeing that everyone had started picking, Len Ruoshua also found a tree and focused on picking fruits as well. These fruits contained faint spiritual energy. Although they were not as good as the ones in her bracelet, they were top tier on the Ling Feng continent. Everyone worked together and picked fruits for more than 3 hours. Finally, they picked all the fruits on the trees, and the path that had disappeared reappeared. Everyone continued walking along the path. After the path disappeared again, an area full of ores all over the ground appeared in front of them. Wow, heavens! This is tungsten gold ore. And green pine crystals. We're rich. We're rich. This time, it was old Zao and his disciples' turn to go crazy. Everyone, use your storage rings to collect the ores. Len Ruoshua directly ordered without needing Butterfly's explanation. The ores covering the entire ground were relatively easy to gather. In less than half an hour, they had already collected all the ores on the ground. But the strange thing was that the path that should have appeared didn't appear as expected. What's going on? Everyone looked at each other in bewilderment. Perhaps we've missed some ores. Everyone, look around carefully, Len Ruoshua said after some thought. Everyone began to search separately. Miss, there seems to be something here. Hubin suddenly said after searching for a while. Where? Everyone was attracted. What is this? Everyone was puzzled. There was a transparent crystal half buried in the ground in a remote corner. The crystal was light blue and resembled quartz. Master, that's a water crystal, and water attribute cultivators use them for cultivation, Feng Zhan said via voice transmission from the bracelet. Even though the crystals of each element weren't used in this world, they were definitely good things in the upper realm. After hearing what Feng Zhan said, Leng Ruoxue squatted down and dug out the half-buried crystal. But the more she dug, the more she found. Seeing this, everyone hurriedly squatted down and helped dig. After digging up all the water crystals, everyone suddenly discovered that they were in an enormous pit. To be exact, they had dug a pit into the ground. Moreover, their bodies and faces were covered in dirt. They were stunned for a few seconds, and then everyone laughed. Ha, look at you. You're like a mud monkey. Feng De glanced at Lin Yuan and laughed mockingly. Don't talk about me. You are not any better than me, Lin Yuan retorted. Don't laugh at each other. We're all the same now, Ling Qingtian said impartially while looking at the two of them. Exactly, someone echoed. Go up if you're done laughing. Leng Ruoxue shook her head helplessly. These people. They're becoming more and more playful. Leng Ruoxue was the first to climb out of the pit. She was holding a small transparent crystal in her hand. So beautiful. The people who climbed up one after another were a little dazzled. They looked at the light blue crystal and almost drooled. The crystal was oval and the size of an egg. It was emitting a dazzling and beautiful glow under the sunlight. This is a water crystal core, Leng Ruoxue explained with a light smile, but she couldn't help sighing in her heart. I'm really too lucky. I actually obtained another crystal core after obtaining the fire crystal core earlier. It's really so beautiful, everyone couldn't help exclaiming again. Big sister, give me the water crystal core. Qing Ju sent a voice transmission. He was somewhat speechless at Leng Ruoxue's good luck. How could crystal cores be so easy to obtain? But his big sister had already obtained two. Moreover, he had some precious herbs that happened to be of the water attribute, so this crystal core would be of use. Okay. Qing Ju was her treasurer. Leng Ruoxue was very obedient and sent the crystal core into the bracelet. Feng De looked at Leng Ruoxue and asked shamelessly, Miss, what's the use of the water crystal core? With it, we will have an endless supply of water crystals in the future. But we don't need crystals now. We will need them only after we go to other dimensions, Leng Ruoxue explained simply. Chapter 269, Encounter in the Forest, The Elegant White Tiger, 4:0. Everyone nodded to show that they understood. Let's keep going. Old Zhao urged expectantly. After they dug up all the crystals, the mischievous path appeared again. Okay. Leng Ruoxue looked at everyone's expectant expressions. With great anticipation and curiosity, everyone continued forward. But they stopped again before long. Schwer, is this the Real Forest? How can the scenes earlier compare to this? Leng Qingtian looked at the gigantic trees that towered into the clouds, and each of them required at least 100 people to surround. He was speechless. Wasn't this a little too exaggerated? What we saw previously can only be regarded as the periphery. Leng Ruoxue guessed. The original path in front of them had split into 3 forks. She didn't know which one to take. Girl, you have to choose carefully. You will encounter different things on each path. Moreover, this is the last place in this forest. After you clear this place, you'll encounter more danger outside, Butterfly explained. Do you mean that all 3 paths are safe? Leng Ruoxue looked at Butterfly. Like I said, the first stage is safe. Of course, it includes this place. But I'm not too sure what's on these 3 paths. But there's definitely no danger, Butterfly said with certainty. What do you guys think? Leng Ruoxua turned to look at Ling Qingtian and the others. Since there's no danger, why don't we split up so that we don't miss anything good? Old Man suggested. Butterfly, is this okay? Leng Ruoxua asked uncertainly. Probably. Butterfly said after some thought. Leng Ruoxua turned to look at everyone and said, Grandpa, you split into 2 groups. I can go alone. Alright, Shuer. Be careful. Ling Qingtian said worriedly. Leng Ruoxua turned her head and ordered Butterfly, Okay, Butterfly, go with Big Brother. Okay then. Handsome Big Brother, I'll follow you for now. Butterfly fluttered its wings and flew in front of Leng Ruohan. After forming the groups, they each chose a path and walked in. Let's go too. Leng Ruoxua walked toward the last path with the little mink in her arms and Ball on her shoulder. As soon as she entered, she saw another patch of herbs. Leng Ruoxua let her beasts out to help her pick them without hesitation. Big sister, I can help, said Ball, who was resting on Leng Ruoxua's shoulder. Have a good rest. We can do it. Leng Ruoxua couldn't bear to continue enslaving this little thing, so she spoke to console it. At this moment, Charm, Fengzhan, and the other divine beasts had all transformed into human form. They squatted on the ground and focused on picking herbs. The silver wolves used their claws to dig carefully at the ground and then slowly dug out the herbs. The large number of herbs was quickly gathered with the coordination of the beasts. Leng Ruoxua sent the other beasts back into the bracelet, leaving only Fengzhan and Charm outside. Master, shall we set off? Charm's beautiful purple eyes looked at Leng Ruoxua. Treasure, I like it. Ball suddenly jumped into Charm's arms and refused to leave. Leng Ruoxua's face darkened as she looked at the lecherous Ball. Is Ball female? But she had to agree with Ball's taste. Charm in human form was indeed a rare top-grade beautiful man. A layer of black covered Charm's handsome face as he looked at the little fur ball on his chest. Without even thinking about it, Charm transformed back into his small snow-white fox form and hopped onto Leng Ruoxua's shoulder. Where's my treasure? Ball found that its treasure had suddenly disappeared and was spinning around anxiously. Master, he's male, Charm explained helplessly, understanding Leng Ruoxua's thoughts. Leng Ruoxua was embarrassed. So this little thing is male. But why did he only act this way when he saw Charm? My brother isn't inferior to Charm. And Fengzhan is comparable to Charm in terms of appearance alone. I don't know. Charm was also puzzled. He had no idea why the little thing was sticking to him. Ball, come here, Leng Ruoxua called softly. Big sister, my treasure is missing, Ball said aggrievedly while lying on Leng Ruoxua's other shoulder, his big black eyes brimming with tears. Ball, why do you call him a treasure? Leng Ruoxua asked curiously. He has the smell of a treasure on him. It's very, very fragrant, Ball said with yearning. Charm, did you eat something? Leng Ruoxua asked suspiciously. Seems like Ball wasn't being perverted. No. Is it because of the jade elixir? Charm carefully recalled that he hadn't eaten anything. He had only taken a sip of the jade elixir before coming out. Probably. Leng Ruoxua nodded. Jade elixir was born from heaven and earth, and it was incomparably precious, so it would indeed be considered a treasure. With this in mind, Leng Ruoxua took out a small amount of jade elixir and gave it to Ball. Treasure. Ball hugged the jade bottle excitedly, and his chubby little round body shook non-stop. Let's go. Leng Ruoxua said with a knowing smile. Leng Ruoxua and Fengzhan walked side by side. After walking for a while, they found that the scenery in front of them had changed. Master, this place seems to be an illusion. You have to be careful, Fengzhan reminded. Okay. Leng Ruoxua nodded. She could also feel it, but she didn't know what kind of illusion this place was. The two continued walking forward. Along the way, they encountered many cute little animals, but they ignored them and just walked forward while looking for the eye of the array. Huh? Why is a flower growing on the tree? Leng Ruoxue was puzzled. It was all too strange that a coquettish red flower appeared out of thin air on the bare tree trunk. Chapter 270, Encounter in the Forest, The Elegant White Tiger. 5. Leng Ruoxue approached the flower and was about to pick it when she clearly felt the flower trembling slightly, as though it was afraid of something. What's going on? Master, let me do it. Feng Zhan pulled out the palm-sized red flower just as Leng Ruoxue's hand was about to pick the flower. Let go of me. Let go of me. You bad person. The flower struggled violently in Feng Zhan's hand and spoke in human language. The illusion disappeared. Leng Ruoxue looked at the forest that had returned to normal. So it really was this flower making a fuss. You're obviously the one who wants to harm us. Is the pot calling the kettle black? Feng Zhan said somewhat angrily and deliberately released a bit of might. I didn't want to harm you. I was just afraid of being discovered by you. Boo-hoo, the flower actually began to sob as it spoke. You didn't harm us. Then why did you set up the illusion? Leng Ruoxue questioned coldly. Fortunately, they hadn't fallen for it. Wouldn't it be dangerous if it was someone else? Thinking of this, she couldn't help feeling a little angry. This illusion is only to protect me, not to harm others. Really, you have to believe me. Boo-hoo, the red flower explained while sobbing. You better make yourself clear, or else I'll turn you into a dried flower and make tea out of you, Leng Ruoxue threatened. According to the rules of the mystic realm, you have to take something from here before you can continue forward. And the only thing you can take to pass this trial is me. But I don't want to leave this place, so I used my doppelganger technique to manifest some cute little animals. I hoped you could take any one of them. That way, I'd be safe. Boo-hoo, the flower explained carefully. You might be safe, but can we find the way? Leng Ruoxue snorted in displeasure. Yes, you can go out. Those animals all have my aura on them, the flower quickly said and stole a timid glance at Leng Ruoxue. But you are the best treasure here. Am I right? Leng Ruoxue said thoughtfully. A flower that can use a doppelganger technique and arrange illusions, not bad. She was very satisfied. Yes, but I have high requirements for survival, so I will be dead if I leave this place. Even if you forcefully take me out, I won't be able to live for long. The flower wept, and drops of dew-like tears flowed from its center and onto the ground. Master, if I'm not mistaken, this should be the legendary illusionary flower, the king of the plant spirit beasts, Feng Zhan suddenly said. The flower stopped crying and said in surprise, how do you know my name? Plant spirit beast. Leng Ruoxue recalled the introduction of plant spirit beasts that she had once read in a book. In the past, there was a distinction between animal type and plant type spirit beasts. Moreover, the strength of plant spirit beasts was not inferior to that of animal spirit beasts. But tens of thousands of years ago, high-level plant spirit beasts basically became extinct due to the change in the environment. Some plants that still existed today, such as cannibal vines, could only be considered the lowest-level plant spirit beasts. Master, this little flower is very powerful, but it's still underage, Feng Zhan continued. Since you know me, then you should know that I can't leave this place. Otherwise, I will definitely die, the flower said pitifully, playing the sympathy card. Of course I know. But I also know that there's a place thousands of times better than here. That place is more suitable for your growth, Feng Zhan enticed with a smile. If this flower could really mature, it would absolutely be a great help to his master. Impossible. My inherited memories tell me that this is the most suitable place for me. The flower refused to be fooled. If you don't believe me, I can bring you in to take a look first, Feng Zhan said without the slightest bit of annoyance. Okay. The flower's curiosity was piqued by Feng Zhan. After receiving Feng Zhan's gaze, Leng Ruoxue sent him and the flower directly into the bracelet. A few seconds later, the flower's exclamation sounded in Leng Ruoxue's mind. Ah! I want to live here, the red flower in the bracelet exclaimed happily. The bright red flower swayed non-stop, showing its excitement. Yes. You can live here forever like us as long as you contract with my master, Feng Zhan said seductively while pointing at the surrounding beasts. Okay, I want to contract, the flower agreed readily. Illusionary flowers had high requirements for their environment, which was incomparable to other plant spirit beasts. So places outside the mystic realm were not suitable for its growth. But this place was more suitable for it than the mystic realm, so it was a little impatient to live here. Leng Ruoxue took out Feng Zhan and the illusionary flower from the bracelet. She looked at the excited red flower and said, let's contract. Okay. The palm-sized red flower shook non-stop and took the initiative to enter a soul contract. I'll call you Illusion from now on, Leng Ruoxue said to the little red flower after the contract. Thank you for giving me a name, master, the flower said happily while shaking its bright flower. Won't it shake off its petals by swaying like this? Leng Ruoxue couldn't help letting her imagination run wild as she looked at the trembling flower. After hearing Leng Ruoxue's thoughts, a few drops of cold sweat dripped down the flower's delicate petals as it explained helplessly, Master, my petals won't fall. Ah! Leng Ruoxue was embarrassed. How could she forget that her beasts had telepathy with her? Leng Ruoxue glanced at Charm and Bal Bal, who were covering their mouths and snickering. Even Feng Zhan's shoulders were shivering, even though he wasn't smiling. How embarrassing. But what Leng Ruoxue didn't know was that all of the beasts in the bracelet were also covering their mouths and laughing. Chapter 271, Encounter in the Forest, the Elegant White Tiger, 6. Moreover, all the beasts thought in unison that they absolutely couldn't let their master know that she could actually block her thoughts. Hee, that was because their master was really too cute. So poor Leng Ruoxue was kept in the dark. Let's continue. Leng Ruoxue felt a little depressed as she sent Illusion into the bracelet and walked forward with Feng Zhan. After walking for a bit, Leng Ruoxue and Feng Zhan stopped again. This was because a white tiger with immaculate snow-white fur blocked their way. White tiger. Feng Zhan frowned slightly. Why is there a white tiger in this mystic realm? Fire Phoenix. The enormous white tiger was lying leisurely on a giant green stone that was twice his size. His green eyes were half closed as he spoke lazily. Leng Ruoxue's beautiful eyes examined the incomparably elegant white tiger. He was an adult white tiger. Not only was he huge, but he was also very powerful. This white tiger was at the divine beast level on the surface, but she could clearly feel that this white tiger's strength was absolutely above Feng Zhan's. White tiger, did you specially wait for us here? Feng Zhan probed. Wrong. I'm mainly here to bask in the sun. I'm just waiting for you guys while I'm at it, the white tiger said casually, but he couldn't help sighing in his heart. Alas. I've already stayed here for countless years, and I finally see people today. How can we go past you? Leng Ruoxue asked bluntly. She didn't want to waste time and didn't know what was happening with her grandfather and the others. She was a little worried. Very simple. Defeat me, the white tiger said indifferently. As long as you defeat me, I and this green stone will both belong to you, the white tiger added. White tiger, aren't you making things difficult for us? Feng Zhan roared in anger. His master might not be aware of this white tiger's strength, but he knew it very well. This human isn't even anxious. What's the hurry, bird? The white tiger said indifferently. You, Feng Zhan was so angry that he couldn't speak. At this moment, Leng Ruoxue was observing the green stone that the white tiger mentioned. The stone was more than twice the size of the white tiger. It was entirely green and smooth like jade. But what was it if it wasn't jade? She had never seen such a stone, but it was definitely something good. Qingju, Len Ruoxue called out softly in her head. I'm here, big sister, Qingju answered. Qingju, did you hear what that tiger said? What is that stone? Len Ruoxue asked curiously. Let me see. Qingju carefully observed and slowly searched his memory. Ah! Big sister, that is a wind spirit stone, one of the main materials for refining divine artifacts. After observing for a long time, Qingju finally confirmed it and couldn't help but sigh in his heart. He really didn't expect such a large wind spirit stone to exist in the world. It was really unexpected. Wind spirit stone seems useless to me now. Len Ruoxue said thoughtfully. Hee, big sister, it's useless to you now, but you will be able to use it in the future. Moreover, such a large wind spirit stone is very rare, Qingju reminded. It was really something good. Master, don't pay attention to this white tiger. Anyway, there's no danger here. Let's just drag it out here, Fengzhan said telepathically. But I'm worried that Grandpa and the others will encounter the same situation, Len Ruoxue answered in her head worriedly. Must I defeat you? Len Ruoxue asked as she looked up at the enormous white tiger. Yes. Furthermore, you are not allowed to ask spirit beasts for help. You can only defeat me yourself, the white tiger explained, and a smile flashed in his green eyes. I'm only a spiritual supremacy. Your strength is so much higher than mine. This is clearly an unfair battle. Len Ruoxue frowned in slight displeasure. It's fine if you don't want to fight. Stay here with me then, the white tiger said nonchalantly. He was a kind white tiger, so of course he wouldn't force her. Let's fight then. Len Ruoxue said helplessly. For some reason, she felt that this white tiger seemed to understand her thoughts very well. He knew that it was impossible for her to stay here, but he insisted on saying so. The white tiger slowly stood up from the giant rock and looked down at Len Ruoxue with thousands of thoughts in his mind. He had stayed here alone for 10,000 years and was about to turn into a fossil. He could finally move around today. The white tiger stood on the stone, stretched his old arms and legs, and then elegantly walked down from the stone. Human, I will control my strength to that of a level 9 holy beast, so this match is very fair. The white tiger's huge claws gently combed the fur on his head as he spoke very elegantly. Okay. Len Ruoxue didn't expect this white tiger to be so tasteful, so her impression of him improved greatly. Let's begin. You first, the white tiger said very politely, fully demonstrating his gentlemanly demeanor. I won't be polite then. Take this. Feather of the Fire Phoenix. Len Ruoxue shouted softly. A fiery red feather instantly emerged and charged at the enormous white tiger. Is this the feather of that bird? So small. Ha! The white tiger laughed out loud. Laugh. Laugh all you want. You will cry later. Fengzhan suppressed his anger and snorted in his heart. He knew very well the power of this feather. This feather couldn't be judged by its appearance. Yes, just as Fengzhan thought, the white tiger quickly stopped smiling. The white tiger was a little dumbfounded as more and more feathers covered the sky and fluttered in the air. He even forgot to use his skills. Ah! Len Ruoxue didn't know what to do when she saw the stunned white tiger. She didn't want to hurt the white tiger, but it was obvious that the white tiger was just in a daze and didn't unleash any skills. Should I continue fighting? Boo-hoo. I don't know what to do. Chapter 272, The Desert Labyrinth, 1, Fengzhan, what happened to it? Len Ruoxue couldn't help asking Fengzhan. I don't know. Fengzhan shook his head. How can this white tiger be so zoned out? How can a beast be in a daze during a battle? Fortunately, Master doesn't want to kill it. Otherwise, this stupid tiger would have been burned to ashes long ago. Feng Zhan released a stream of fiery red spiritual power, which just happened to hit the white tiger's butt. Ow! A deafening howl sounded. Which bastard dares to sneak attack on my butt? The white tiger recovered and roared angrily. Your grandpa, I did it, Feng Zhan said indifferently, crossing his arms. You damn bird, how dare you ambush me, the white tiger roared furiously, completely forgetting about the battle. His only thought now was to teach this stinky bird a lesson. How can you blame me when you're not paying attention yourself? Feng Zhan said with a look of bad intentions. He was doing a good deed. Ah. The white tiger looked at the feathers flying around him and said directly to Leng Ruoxue, I'm not fighting you anymore. I want to fight this stinky bird. How can we do that? The winner hasn't been decided yet, Leng Ruoxue insisted. Consider it your win, the white tiger said nonchalantly. You said it yourself. Since I won, you and that big green stone are mine now, Leng Ruoxue reminded very kindly. They're all yours, the white tiger said with certainty. In fact, he had wanted to leave this place for a long time. But it wasn't easy to see people, and he was a little bored, so he wanted to fight her first. After all, he had to check if this human was qualified to be his master. But if this human didn't even dare to accept his challenge, then he would rather stay here forever and wait for the next human than choose to leave. Then acknowledge me as your master. Leng Ruoxue retracted her spiritual power and smiled secretly in her heart. Subduing a powerful spirit beast without fighting was exactly what she wanted. Okay, the white tiger replied. At the same time, he was excited that he could finally leave this place. Boo-hoo. The white tiger took the initiative to establish a soul contract. The relationship between the two was formally established with the descent of the contract array. After establishing the contract, the white tiger looked at Feng Zhan provocatively. Stinky bird, let's fight now. Fine, let's fight. Who's afraid of you? Feng Zhan said nonchalantly. Although the white tiger was of water attribute, something like attribute restraint would never happen to him. The southern spirit flame of their phoenix clan was not something ordinary water could put out. Feng Zhan returned to his original form and flew into the air. His dark red phoenix eyes were cold as he stared at the beautiful white tiger. Let's begin. Okay. The white tiger took the lead in attacking. For a time, two figures, one red and one white, were entangled together. Red and light blue spiritual powers flew everywhere, dazzling people's eyes. Lying on the giant green rock, Leng Ruoxue looked helplessly at the phoenix and tiger fighting each other. Alas! One was flying in the sky, while the other was running on the ground, but they could engage in such an intense fight. It was really unbelievable. Huh? This is... Leng Ruoxue suddenly discovered that the smooth jade-like wind spirit stone beneath her seemed to have the effect of gathering wind attribute spiritual power. She had just laid down for a short while and already felt an endless stream of wind attribute spiritual power eagerly burrowing into her body. It was really too surprising. With this discovery, Leng Ruoxue simply closed her eyes and began to meditate. Leng Ruoxue was meditating, while Feng Zhan and the white tiger were fighting more and more intensely. They were even showing signs of losing control. Feng Zhan stopped in the air and looked at the white tiger on the ground provocatively. Little kitty, come up and bite me if you dare. Feng Zhan flew in the air with some pride, leaving a trail of beautiful, colorful light, and his long tail feathers drew dazzling arcs everywhere he went. Don't you dare call me a kitty, the white tiger roared with wide green eyes. How dare this damn bird call me a kitty? It was too damaging to his self-esteem. You are a little kitty. Come, let me hear you purr. Feng Zhan smiled. At first, he was still a little afraid of this white tiger, but after his fighting spirit completely ignited, he went all out. Moreover, this tiger was already his master's contract beast, so he was even less afraid. Hee hee. Damn it. Damn bird, it'll make you regret it, the white tiger roared furiously, but he couldn't help cursing in his heart. Humph. Damn bird, isn't it just because you can fly? What's so great about it? I'll wait and see how you'll make me regret it, Feng Zhan said calmly. Okay, keep your eyes wide open, the white tiger reminded. Then all the wind attributes spiritual power in the sky rushed toward the white tiger. Gradually, more and more wind attributes spiritual power condensed into a huge pair of azure wings. With its azure energy wings, the white tiger flew into the air and looked into Feng Zhan's eyes. Damn bird, I said I would make you regret it. But I will be magnanimous and not make a fuss about it with you on Master's account as long as you admit your mistake now, the white tiger suggested very kindly. In your dreams. But how do you have the wind attribute? Is it a mutation? Feng Zhan asked somewhat curiously. The entire white tiger clan possessed the water attribute, but this tiger in front of him actually had two attributes. It was truly inconceivable. None of your business. The white tiger wouldn't satisfy this dead bird's curiosity. Have you played enough? Leng Ruoxu's voice sounded. Leng Ruoxue, who had laid on the wind spirit stone and meditated for a while, slowly opened her beautiful eyes and glanced indifferently at the phoenix and tiger flying in the sky. Helplessness flashed quickly in her eyes. The two beasts looked at each other and said at the same time in tacit understanding, yes. Chapter 273, The Desert Labyrinth, 2. After speaking, the two beasts obediently descended from the sky and directly transformed. Their faces were full of fawning as they looked at Leng Ruoxue. Boo-hoo. Is Master angry? The two beasts were extremely nervous. Leng Ruoxue found it amusing. Looking at the two beasts' careful expressions, she said very seriously, companions must love and protect each other, so you are not allowed to fight anymore. Yes, the two beasts answered obediently. As my beasts, you must be united against outsiders, Leng Ruoxue added. Of course, she mainly said this for the sake of the newly joined white tiger. Yes. Then let's continue on our journey. Leng Ruoxue said after storing the wind spirit stone in the bracelet. The white tiger and Feng Zhan nodded, and then the human and four beasts continued forward. White tiger, do you have a name? Leng Ruoxue asked while walking. My name is White Dawn, the white tiger answered after thinking about it. Alas. It's been a long time since someone called me this name. I would have forgotten it if Master hadn't asked. White Dawn, what's ahead? Leng Ruoxue asked curiously. I don't know, but I should be the most difficult beast to deal with in this forest, White Dawn said proudly. Then, how did the others get past you? Leng Ruoxue couldn't help asking. It depends on my mood. But Master, you're the first human I've seen since I came here, White Dawn said depressedly. Leng Ruoxue was speechless. It seemed like this white tiger was really almost bored to death. Master, it looks like there's nothing left in front, Feng Zhan said as he looked at the path that was already at the end. Yeah. Leng Ruoxue nodded. It seemed like the first stage was really over because there were two golden portals not far away. She just didn't know where these portals would teleport them. Master, we are the first to come here. The other two teams shouldn't have come out yet, Feng Zhan guessed. He didn't want his master to let her imagination run wild. I think so too. Leng Ruoxue looked at Feng Zhan's nervous appearance and couldn't help wanting to laugh. Am I such an unstable person? Master, there isn't much danger in this forest, so you can walk out of it as long as you aren't too unlucky, White Dawn explained. He already knew that his master's group had split up into three. While they were chatting, Leng Ruhan emerged with his team. Schwer! Leng Ruhan exclaimed excitedly when he saw his little sister. Big brother Feng, did you encounter any danger? Leng Ruoxue asked with concern. Ah. We didn't encounter any danger, but we did do a lot of physical labor. Leng Ruhan smiled bitterly. Their group had probably done enough physical labor for the rest of their lives. What physical labor did you do? Leng Ruoxue asked curiously because she saw that her brother and the others were dirty and covered in dust. Lass. We dug up a lot of ores and materials, as well as countless herbs. Boo-hoo, old Zao wailed in pain. Today, he found out that looking at artificing materials all over the ground was also a very painful thing because he had to dig all of them up. Give me all your rings. Leng Ruoxue sighed sympathetically. Fortunately, she had the foresight to let them empty their rings and give them a lot of empty storage rings before they entered. Otherwise, they might not have been able to store everything. Okay. Leng Ruhan and the others handed the full storage rings to Leng Ruoxue. Leng Ruoxue took the rings and sent everything in them into the bracelet for Qing Ju to sort. Then she returned the rings to them. Swear, why isn't Grandpa's team out yet? Leng Ruhan asked worriedly. Don't worry. I said that there's no danger here. They must have encountered the same thing as you. Butterfly fluttered in front of Leng Ruhan and comforted him. He had to believe in its honesty. Big brother, don't worry. Grandpa's team is stronger than yours. They won't be in danger, Leng Ruoxue also comforted. After a while, Leng Qingtian and the others emerged. But their faces and bodies were covered in dust, looking extremely disheveled. Grandpa, what happened? Leng Ruoxue's eyes were full of question marks. What did Grandpa's team do? Why do they look more miserable than Big Brother's team? Swear, Grandpa's darling. Grandpa won't catch any more rabbits. Boo-hoo, Leng Qingtian couldn't help crying as soon as he saw his precious granddaughter. Not catching any more rabbits. What does that mean? Leng Ruoxue was even more confused. What did Grandpa's team encounter? Oh, little girl. We caught thousands of rabbits with just a dozen of us and our beasts. Moreover, those damn rabbits could actually ignore the pressure of our might, old man explained with a face full of tears and mucus. This time, Leng Ruoxue was really speechless. Her sympathy for her grandfather and his team was like a raging river flowing endlessly. They were really too pitiful. Wow! Rabbit! Rabbits in the mystic realm are the most delicious food. You're in for a treat. Butterfly said excitedly and flapped its wings even faster. Get lost! Leng Qingtian couldn't endure it and roared. He wanted to throw up at the mention of rabbits. How could he bear to eat one? Girl, your grandfather is so fierce. Butterfly's small black eyes held tears as it hid in Leng Ruoxue's hair fearfully. Who told you to spout nonsense? Leng Ruoxue didn't pity the tactless butterfly at all. Grandpa, let's take a rest in the space later. We can continue after we're rested, Leng Ruoxue suggested after looking at the sky. Okay. Leng Qingtian nodded vigorously. This was exactly what he was thinking. Ruoxue, here. This is our harvest. Lin Liang handed the ring in his hand to Leng Ruoxue. Chapter 274, The Desert Labyrinth, 3, Leng Ruoxue took the ring and then sent everyone into the bracelet. The air here is still the best. Leng Qingtian sighed with emotion in the bracelet. Hearing this, everyone nodded in unison and then headed to their own residence. Leng Ruoxue didn't rest but went directly to the warehouse. Qing Ju was sorting all the items in the warehouse. Big sister, Qing Ju greeted Leng Ruoxue when he saw her. Qing Ju, here some more. Thank you for your hard work. Leng Ruoxue handed Qing Ju a few more rings. It's not difficult. It's very easy for me, Qing Ju said nonchalantly. He was an artifact spirit, and he could organize the entire space well with just a single thought. How is the harvest? Leng Ruoxue asked curiously. Not bad. We gathered a lot of herbs and minerals. But I don't understand why there is so much food, Qing Ju said in puzzlement. There were many fruits in addition to the rabbit meat. He couldn't understand why there were these things in the mystic realm. They were probably afraid that we won't have anything to eat in the future. Leng Ruoxue guessed randomly. Bingo, girl, you got it right. Butterfly flew out from Leng Ruoxue's hair and floated in front of her. These fruits and rabbit meat are prepared for your journey ahead. But not everyone has such good luck. Some people might only be able to pick fruits, while others can only obtain meat. The best is to obtain both, just like you, Butterfly explained. Leng Ruoxue nodded and asked, "Oh, Butterfly, do you know where the two teleportation arrays lead?" "I don't know. The teleportation arrays are random, and the location of each teleportation is different every time. Girl, it's best if you can be teleported to a mountain range, which is relatively less dangerous. Deserts are one of the most dangerous places, so don't go to deserts." Butterfly reminded. "I'll try my best," Leng Ruoxue said calmly. Since it was random, how could she decide where she would be teleported? "Qingju, big sister is going to rest. Don't exhaust yourself," Leng Ruoxue said with concern. "Okay. Big sister, quickly go and rest," Qingju urged. Leng Ruoxue left the warehouse and went straight to her temporary bamboo house, where she lay on the bed with her clothes on. "Little mink, let's sleep for a while," Leng Ruoxue said to the little mink in her arms. "Okay." The little silver mink found a comfortable spot in Leng Ruoxue's arms and closed his eyes in satisfaction. It was already the next day when Leng Ruoxue woke up. After exiting the bamboo house, Leng Ruoxue saw her grandfather and the others already waiting for her. She didn't expect to be the last to wake up. "Where's Ball Ball?" Leng Ruoxue looked around at everyone but didn't see the chubby little Ball. After he entered the bracelet yesterday, she let him roam freely, but he disappeared today. "Big sister, I'm here," Ball Ball yelled from a tall tree. Everyone raised their heads and looked at the source of the sound. At this moment, Ball Ball was lying on a milky white spirit fruit twice his size, looking as though everything would be fine if there were fruits. "Ball Ball, aren't you coming down to accompany Big Sister on a treasure hunt?" Leng Ruoxue pretended to be sad. "Ah. I want to accompany Big Sister," Ball Ball hurriedly said. He flapped his small wings and flew down from the tree, landing directly on Leng Ruoxue's shoulder. "Grandpa, stay in here for now. Come out after we arrive at the teleport destination." Leng Ruoxue caressed Ball Ball's soft fur in satisfaction. "Okay, Shuer. Be careful," Leng Qingtian reminded. "I will." Then Leng Ruoxue left the bracelet by herself. Looking at the two teleportation arrays in front of her, Leng Ruoxue hesitated. Which one should I choose? Forget it. I won't think about it anymore. I'll just randomly enter one of them. After making up her mind, Leng Ruoxue walked directly into the nearest teleportation array. As a dazzling light flashed, Leng Ruoxue subconsciously closed her eyes. When the light disappeared, she opened her eyes. But the scenery in front of her made her pale with fright. In front and all around here were densely packed venomous snakes and scorpions. Every venomous snake was as thick as an adult's arm, and the venomous scorpions were as big as a wash basin. Moreover, their bodies were pitch black and shiny, and their eyes released a greedy and sinister cold light. "Hee hee, another human finally came knocking on our door," a venomous snake said with a vulgar laugh. "I haven't had the taste of human in a long time. But only one isn't enough." The largest scorpion among the scorpions waved its huge pincers in dissatisfaction. Leng Ruoxue felt depressed as she listened to the discussion between the snake and the scorpion. Alas! Why am I so unlucky? I was actually teleported to a desert, and I became the food that two holy beasts are discussing. Leng Ruoxue's beautiful eyes quietly examined the situation and environment in front of her while the two holy beasts were discussing. The venomous snakes and scorpions were worthy of being the kings in this endless desert. But two tigers could not share one mountain. It was amazing that these snakes and scorpions could get along peacefully and even become friends. The venomous snakes and scorpions in front of her were all holy beasts. Among them were hundreds of level 9 holy beasts, which could be considered very powerful. But it was a pity that they actually encountered her. Humph. It remains to be seen if they have the capability to eat me. Do you want to eat me? Leng Ruoxue asked softly with a smile. Isn't it obvious? You're already on our plate. Ha! The venomous snake laughed hysterically. But I'm afraid you won't be alive to eat me. Leng Ruoxue said with pity. Chapter 275, The Desert Labyrinth, 4, Humph. The desert is our territory. No human who comes here can leave this place alive, the venomous snake said confidently. Then use facts to prove it. Then Leng Ruoxue summoned all her divine beasts. Ah! So many divine beasts. The level of pressure made the group of poisonous snakes and scorpions a little flustered. They might not be afraid of strong humans, but they couldn't not be afraid of the pressure of the divine beasts. This fear was inborn and an irresistible existence in their bloodlines. What? Do you want to eat my master? Feng Zhan said coldly with his dark red phoenix eyes narrowed. The venomous snake immediately changed its attitude and said ingratiatingly, Ah. Misunderstanding. This is all a misunderstanding. How dare we eat your master? Yes, that's right. We don't want to eat her. You heard it wrong, hee hee. The biggest scorpion also pretended to be an obedient grandson as it tried to curry favor with them. But its slightly cloudy little eyes kept spinning, and who knew what it was up to? Feng Zhan, don't bother talking nonsense with them. Annihilate them all. Leng Ruoxue said emotionlessly. Even though she didn't like fighting, she would absolutely not show any mercy if only force could solve the problem. Yes, master, Feng Zhan quickly replied and prepared to release his southern spirit flame. Wait, you can't kill us. We are able to live here because of the rules of the mystic realm. If you kill us, you won't be able to obtain anything. The scorpion was quick-witted and quickly shouted while transmitting its voice in its head non-stop. King! Where are you? Come and save your people. Boo-hoo. Is that so? Leng Ruoxue asked lightly with a smile. Yes, absolutely. So you can't kill us. At worst, we'll let you go, the scorpion said obediently. Boo-hoo. Where did this monster come from? How does she have so many divine beasts? But what I know seems different from what you know. As far as I know, it doesn't matter even if I kill all of you because when the mystic realm reopens 1,000 years later, new venomous snakes and scorpions will replace you in this desert. So I better do something good. I believe those little fellows who are about to be born will thank me. Leng Ruoxue decided to spread the spirit of doing good deeds, so these hateful things could go to heaven. As soon as Leng Ruoxue finished speaking, all the divine beasts attacked together. Colorful spiritual power danced all over the sky and exploded the group of poisonous snakes and scorpions into ashes in the blink of an eye. It's much quieter like this, Leng Ruoxue praised. Without the poisonous snakes and scorpions obstructing her vision, her field of vision was much wider. Leng Ruoxue sent the other beasts back to the bracelet, leaving only Charm and Feng Zhan, before moving her grandfather and the others out. Schwer. As soon as the little silver mink emerged, he openly occupied Leng Ruoxue's soft arms. Big sister. Ball laid on Leng Ruoxue's shoulder obediently. The transformed Charm occupied Leng Ruoxue's other shoulder. As for Feng Zhan, he naturally transformed into a human and followed beside Leng Ruoxue. Grandpa, let's go. Leng Ruoxue said to Leng Qingtian and the others. Butterfly flew to Leng Ruoxue's side and reminded, Girl, the Snake King and the Scorpion King haven't appeared yet, so you have to be careful, okay? Leng Ruoxue nodded, then led the group deeper into the unknown desert. They walked for hours in the deserted desert but found nothing. Schwer, it's so hot here. Leng Qingtian kept wiping the sweat off his forehead with his hand and complaining. Grandpa, let's take a break. Leng Ruoxue suggested. Okay, let's all rest here. Ling Qingtian said loudly to everyone. Hearing this, everyone hurriedly sat on the ground. Everyone, have some fruits. Leng Ruoxue took out the fruits they had picked in the forest from her bracelet. Sure, although this fruit doesn't have much spiritual power, it has plenty of water, Ling Qingtian said while munching on a fruit. Grandpa, I have a feeling that everything was arranged in advance by the mystic realm. Leng Ruoxue voiced her doubts. Butterfly flew into Leng Ruoxue's hair and explained, "Ha, girl, everything in the mystic realm is under the jurisdiction of the spirit of the mystic realm. Otherwise, why would you have to do so many things in the first stage? Moreover, the first stage is not life-threatening. It's just a little tiring. But you have to understand the painstaking efforts of the mystic realm spirit. These fruits, meat, herbs, ores, and so on are all very useful to you. With them, at least your lives will be much safer in the mystic realm. Of course, luck and strength are also very important. But at the very least, you won't die of hunger or thirst." Leng Ruoxue nodded. Butterfly's words were very reasonable. After all, not everyone could have a heaven-defying space like her. Moreover, it was impossible for others to have storage rings full of food, so survival was indeed the biggest problem. Ruoxue. How long do we have to go in this desert? Lin Liang couldn't help asking suddenly. I don't know. I guess we have to complete the mission like in the forest to leave this place, Leng Ruoxue said after some thought. This desert seemed to be circular, and they were actually walking around in circles. The entire desert is bare. How do we complete the mission? Lin Liang was depressed. There was endless sand in front of them, and they couldn't find the goal at all. Ah! Suddenly, an exclamation sounded in everyone's ears. Everyone looked in the direction of the voice and found that Hu Bin, who had been sitting not far away from them, had disappeared. Huh? Where did Hu Bin go? Everyone was surprised and was about to go over to take a look, but Leng Ruoxue stopped them. Chapter 276, The Desert Labyrinth, 5, Everyone, stay where you are. Don't move. Then Leng Ruoxue walked over. Shuer, what happened? Leng Qingtian asked worriedly. It's okay. It's just a hole. Hu Bin fell down. Leng Ruoxue squatted down and looked into the hole. But it was pitch black inside, and she couldn't see anything clearly. Grandpa, everyone, go back into the space. I'll go down and take a look. Leng Ruoxue sent everyone back into the bracelet. Hold on to me tightly. Leng Ruoxue nodded at Charm and Ball before jumping down without hesitation. Feng Zhan also followed closely behind and jumped down the hole. Leng Ruoxue touched the two little beasts on her shoulders and called out softly in the pitch-black cave, Charm, Ball, Feng Zhan. Master, I'm here. Feng Zhan lit a flame, and the entire cave instantly lit up. What is this place? Leng Ruoxue looked around. It was actually a house, and the whole house was as empty as the wilderness. There was not a single piece of furniture, and dust covered the walls. There was also a moldy smell in the house, as though no one had lived in it for a long time. Hu Bin. Leng Ruoxue found the unconscious Hu Bin in a corner of the room. She hurriedly ran over, helped him up, and stuffed a pill into his mouth. Miss, where is this? Hu Bin, who just woke up, asked in bewilderment. I don't know. I'll send you back into the space to rest first. Leng Ruoxue sent Hu Bin into the bracelet. Shuer, let Grandpa out to accompany you, Ling Qingtian said in the space. How could he be at ease with his precious granddaughter taking risks alone in this unknown place? Shuer, Big Brother wants to come out too, Leng Ruhan echoed. Hee, little girl. Let us out. Old man said. All right then. Leng Ruoxue knew that they wouldn't be willing to stay in the space peacefully. But those below spiritual supremacy should stay in there for the time being. Shuer, this house is so strange. Leng Qingtian looked around the room after coming out. Yes, it's a little strange, Leng Ruoxue agreed. She jumped down directly from the hole, but she didn't notice any damage to the house, so where did she come from? Why are you thinking so much? There's a door there. Let's go out and take a look. Lin Liang pointed at a door. Then let's go. Leng Ruoxue said while looking at everyone present. Shuer, hide behind Grandpa. Grandpa will take the lead. Leng Qingtian pulled his granddaughter behind him and walked out first. Leng Ruoxue smiled helplessly and followed her grandfather out. After everyone left the room, they heard a mechanical voice. Welcome to the desert labyrinth. You are the 5th batch of adventurers today. Good luck. Then the voice disappeared. What lousy thing is this? Why don't you talk about the rules? Old Zao couldn't help cursing. Butterfly, why did that voice just say that we are the 5th batch today? Leng Ruoxue asked in puzzlement. Girl, he means that 4 more groups of people entered before you, Butterfly explained patiently. I know. I mean, didn't they encounter those venomous snakes and scorpions? Leng Ruoxue asked depressedly. I don't know. But there should be more than one entrance to this desert labyrinth, Butterfly said after some thought. What treasures are in this labyrinth? Leng Ruoxue continued to ask. It will be best if there's something that can interest me here. Otherwise, I won't mind demolishing this place. Girl, I really don't know, Butterfly said aggrievedly. Shuer, which way should we go? Leng Qingtian asked uncertainly as he looked at the path that split into 2 directions. Leng Ruoxue looked up at the environment in front of her. The sky above the labyrinth was gray, and she couldn't see anything clearly. There was a path under their feet at this moment, and they were standing in the middle of it. There was an exit on each side, but the one on the left was slightly closer to them, while the one on the right was relatively farther away. Girl, you have to think carefully. Butterfly reminded. Leng Ruoxue frowned as she pondered. To the right. Leng Ruoxue said with certainty after a while. She chose the nearest portal last time and ended up in the desert, so she chose the one farther away this time. After deciding, Leng Ruoxue and the others walked toward the right exit. They saw a door at the right exit. Everyone looked at each other. Leng Ruoxue pushed the door open, and everyone walked in. After entering, everyone found that they were in a secret room. It was empty, but there were 2 teleportation arrays in the upper right corner, and they didn't know where they teleported to. Welcome to the first stage of the labyrinth. The mechanical voice sounded in everyone's ears again. What are we going to do in the first stage? Old Zao couldn't help asking. But the voice disappeared once more, and he was so angry he started cursing again. What is that sound? Leng Ruoxue asked uncertainly. She seemed to have heard a rustling sound. Wind? Feng Moran asked doubtfully. He heard it too. Leng Qingtian listened carefully and then said with certainty, definitely not wind. Everyone, stay alert. Leng Qingtian reminded. As soon as he finished speaking, countless black beetles emerged from the ground. Each beetle was the size of a millstone and entirely black. They had extremely hard carapaces and 2 antennas on their heads, and gray eyes the size of bronze bells were looking at them greedily. We've become food in the eyes of these bugs, Leng Ruoxue said with a tingling scalp. She hated things like snakes and bugs the most. Shuer, it seems like we won't be able to leave this place until we destroy these bugs, Leng Ruhan said in realization. He already understood the rules of the mystic realm, and he knew that they had to destroy or subdue the things here to leave every place they went. Chapter 277, Tough Love, 1, Then let's fight and end this quickly. Leng Ruoxue said to everyone present, and then she was the first to attack. Huh? How did this happen? Leng Ruoxue was puzzled. Her fire attribute spiritual power hit the bugs, but it seemed like an itch to them and actually didn't leave the slightest mark on their bodies. Could they be immune to fire attribute spiritual power? Old man guessed. If that was the case, it would be a big deal because most of them were fire attribute spiritual power cultivators. Let me try. Feng Zhan directly released his southern spirit flame. The extremely hot southern spirit flame quickly burned 1/3 of the bugs to death, but their shells remained intact. What firm shells! Las, the shells of these worms are definitely top-grade materials for making armor, old Zhao said excitedly. Yeah. Leng Ruoxua nodded in agreement and then summoned more than 10 phoenixes. Feng Zhan, I'll leave these nasty bugs to you, Leng Ruoxua said to Feng Zhan. These bugs were not afraid of ordinary flames. Okay. Feng Zhan directly ordered his clan members. After a few minutes, they wiped out all the bugs, leaving only their hard shells on the ground. Congratulations on passing the first level. You receive 500 points. The robotic voice sounded again. 500 points. What's the use? Leng Ruoxua asked in puzzlement. Butterfly flew in front of Leng Ruoxua and explained, Girl, you can exchange these points for rewards before you leave the mystic realm. What are the rewards? Old man asked curiously. I don't know either. Anyway, they are all good things that you need, Butterfly said lightly as it fluttered in the air. Aren't there any rewards for this level? Leng Ruoxua said with some displeasure. She didn't want to work for free. Girl, the shells of those bugs are your spoils of war. Butterfly said cautiously, afraid that she would vent her anger on it. What's the point of having the shells if you're not an artificer? Lin Liang pretended to be displeased. This mystic realm's spirit was really too stingy. Even an artificer might not be able to use them. Old Zhao echoed hurriedly. He didn't think that his flames would be hotter than the fire phoenix's southern spirit flame. Yes, Ling Qingtian and Old Man echoed in unison. But don't you still have points? You can exchange them for things, Butterfly said weakly. Boo-hoo. I've never encountered such difficult people. Who can save me? But we can only use the points if we're still alive. Who knows if we can get out alive, the Feng family's first elder said coldly. Seeing everyone's dissatisfaction, Leng Ruoxua laughed in her heart. Ha! Everyone is so united. It's not impossible to obtain other rewards as long as you defeat the beetle general. The robotic voice sounded again. You have to let us know what we can obtain by defeating that bug general. Only then will we have the motivation. Leng Ruoxua began to negotiate with the voice. You can obtain an additional 10,000 points, the voice said. Not enough. We want physical rewards, Leng Ruoxua said, asking for an exorbitant price. Humph. This voice likely belongs to that whatever mystic realm spirit. Since it's in charge of the entire mystic realm, it should have a lot of good things. Who else would we rob but it? Alright. What do you want? No more than 10 items, the robotic voice said through gritted teeth. It was obviously trembling from anger. Qingju, what should we order? Leng Ruoxua immediately sent a voice transmission to Qingju. This little fellow was very experienced and knowledgeable, and he knew a lot of good things. Big sister, there aren't many good things in the mystic realms of low-level dimensions, so I only want these few items. Qingju gave Leng Ruoxua a list. Ah. What are these things? Leng Ruoxua's forehead dripped with cold sweat. She admitted that she was a little ignorant because she actually didn't recognize any of the things that Qingju told her. Big sister, we will need these things when we go to other dimensions. Moreover, I am sure that it can produce these things, Qingju said with a smile, looking like a cunning little fox. Ah. Okay then. Leng Ruoxua cut off the voice transmission with Qingju. Then she cleared her throat and said, I want purple spirit grass, dragon core sand, 10,000-year-old green pearl. Leng Ruoxua listed 10 items in one breath. With every piece, the voice seemed to tremble in anger. Alright, I want these things, Leng Ruoxua said to the void. You. The voice didn't manage to form a complete sentence for a long while. It was obvious that it was extremely angry. What? You can't bear to part with them? Leng Ruoxue said mockingly. Except for the angry voice, Ling Qingtian and the others, who were watching the commotion by the side, were all puzzled. They didn't know what the things Shuer listed were, but since she could make the voice so angry that it couldn't finish speaking, yeah. They should be good things. Alright, I will give you all the things you want as long as you can defeat the beetle general, the voice said while suppressing its anger. We will definitely defeat that big bug, Leng Ruoxue said confidently. Then I'll wait and see. After speaking, the voice directly disappeared. Shuer, why hasn't that bug come out yet? Feng Moran couldn't help asking after waiting for more than 10 minutes. It's probably a little slow because it's too fat. Wait for it. Leng Ruoxue said very kindly. Damn you, human. You're the fat one. An angry roar came from underground. Then the earth shook violently as a massive black gold beetle crawled up slowly from the ground. A divine beast. Old man exclaimed. He didn't expect this bug to be a divine beast. He couldn't help feeling a little depressed as he thought about those ordinary beetles with abnormal defense just now. Chapter 278, Tough Love, 2, It's just a bug. How can it be a beast? It's a divine bug at best. Leng Ruoxue's beautiful face was full of disdain. You damn human. How dare you call the mighty me a divine bug? Let me tell you, I am a divine beast, the beetle general roared in anger. Not only was its voice deafening, but the smell coming from its mouth was foul too. It stinks. Everyone quickly covered their mouths and noses. Stinks? Where's the stink? I'm one of the most handsome in the insect world, you ignorant humans. Humph, the beetle general said with contempt. After hearing this, everyone was dumbfounded. What kind of bug is this? How can there be such a narcissistic bug? This was everyone's only thought at this moment. Master, leave this stinky bug to me. White Dawn, in the bracelet, volunteered to go into battle. Ah. Okay. Leng Ruoxue helplessly summoned White Dawn. As soon as White Dawn emerged, his green eyes glared daggers at the bug claiming to be mighty. This damn bug actually dared claim to be mighty. White Dawn hated it. Stinky bug, I am your opponent. White Dawn said coldly. Huh? A divine beast? A cat? Ha! The gigantic beetle general laughed hysterically when it saw the kitten that wasn't even as big as its leg. Damn it! Open your bug eyes and look carefully. White Dawn roared furiously. He was obviously a mighty white tiger, but this disgusting stinky bug actually dared to call him a cat. Shuer! Where did this cat come from? Ling Qingtian asked softly. In fact, he wanted to ask when he saw the white cat yesterday, but he didn't have the chance. Ah! Grandpa, Leng Ruoxue was at a loss for words. Master's grandfather, I'm not a cat, White Dawn said aggrievedly. Boo-hoo. It doesn't matter if that bug is ignorant, but why does even Master's grandfather think I'm a cat? I'm so mighty and strong. Ah. Not a cat, Ling Qingtian looked suspiciously at the palm-sized thing in front of him. Don't tell me this little fellow is a tiger. Ha, I told you long ago that you're a little kitty. Feng Zhan laughed as he grabbed White Dawn in his hand. What an idiot. He actually doesn't realize that he's currently transformed. Damn bird, let go of me quickly. White Dawn struggled and twisted his chubby little body. Boo-hoo. So I'm in my transformed state. Alright, I'll let you go. Feng Zhan released his grip without hesitation, and White Dawn fell. Howl. With a tiger's roar, White Dawn enlarged his body and steadily landed on all four. The kitten actually became bigger. As expected of a cat who's a divine beast, the beetle general exclaimed. Damn it. I'm going to kill you. White Dawn was furious. What kind of gaze is that? You called me a cat when I was in my transformed state, but you're still calling me a cat when I return to my original form. After speaking, White Dawn pounced directly at the beetle general. Watching by the side, Leng Ruoxue and the others all had black lines hanging over their heads as they sighed in their hearts. This bug was really stupid. In its eyes, there was no difference between a cat and a tiger. During the battle, White Dawn unleashed his water element skills non-stop and blasted the beetle general's body. But he didn't leave a single scratch behind. In contrast, the gigantic bug was calm and composed. It didn't attack at all and just lay on the ground. No matter how much spiritual power struck it, it didn't move. Seeing that his skills were ineffective, White Dawn was even angrier. He scratched directly with his sharp claws, but his claws scratched the tough steel-like shell of the beetle general without leaving any marks. Kitten, let me help you. Feng Zhan couldn't bear to watch any longer. This beetle general's defense was really too abnormal. Who knew what its shell was made of? Okay, I'll leave it to you. Depressed, White Dawn retreated to Leng Ruoxue's side and gave the battlefield to Feng Zhan. There was really nothing he could do about this bug. He would definitely deplete his spiritual power if he continued fighting. Brimming with confidence, Feng Zhan spat a mouthful of southern spirit flame at the big bug before returning to Leng Ruoxue's side. Kitten, I've settled it, Feng Zhan said provocatively. Are you sure? White Dawn pointed at the weakening flames on the beetle general. Of course. How is this possible? When Feng Zhan's gaze turned to the big bug again, he suddenly saw that his southern spirit flame was actually becoming smaller and smaller. Moreover, it only burned for a few minutes before extinguishing. Seeing this, he was also depressed. His invincible southern spirit flame actually couldn't do anything to a bug. Let me try how thick its shell is. Leng Ruoxue suddenly said. She had been observing this bug since White Dawn attacked it just now, and she had a rough idea. This bug's attack power shouldn't be high, or it shouldn't have any attacks at all. But its defense was invincible. Even the divine beasts, White Dawn and Feng Zhan, couldn't do anything to it. She wondered if her divine flame would cause any damage to this bug. Feather of the Fire Phoenix. Leng Ruoxue exclaimed. A fiery red spiritual power feather shining with golden light flew toward the beetle general. She had infused her divine flame into the feather. The beetle general raised its head slightly and looked at the small red feather disdainfully. Then it lowered its head again, obviously not paying attention to the tiny flame. But when the small feather disintegrated into countless particles and stuck to its entire body, a piercing pain came from its body. Aha! A howl of pain sounded from the beetle general. It began to roll around on the ground, and its voice became weaker and weaker. After a while, the beetle general disappeared from the world, but its shell remained. Chapter 279, Tough Love, 3, Leng Ruoxue put away the shell and then said to the void, the beetle general is dead. Hurry up and give us our reward. For you. You can go to the next level, the mechanical voice said without emotion. Leng Ruoxue glanced at the rewards that appeared in front of her. She deliberately counted them before storing them in the bracelet. Damn girl, why would I lie to you? The mechanical voice sounded again, this time with obvious anger. It's hard to say. What if you replaced something or mixed something else in them? Leng Ruoxue obviously didn't trust it. You, quickly go to the next level. You have to exit the labyrinth within 48 hours. Otherwise, don't even think about leaving, the mechanical voice reminded. Belated advice. Leng Ruoxue complained. Grandpa, let's hurry up and go. Leng Ruoxue said to Leng Qingtian and the others. Alright, let's go. He was slightly anxious upon hearing that there was a time limit. Which portal do we enter? Leng Ruoxue asked as she looked at the two portals. Shuer, you decide. Leng Ruhan said. Leng Ruoxue looked at everyone and decided directly. The portal on the left. Everyone stepped through the left portal, and as a light flashed, they were teleported to another room. Why is it another room? Old man said helplessly. Leng Ruoxue looked around. Apart from the lack of doors, this room was no different from the first room they had encountered. The only difference was that the door had changed to 2 teleportation arrays. Lucky wretched girl, you can pass the second level directly. The mechanical voice sounded displeased. Are there any rewards for this level? Leng Ruoxue asked directly, ignoring the displeasure in the voice. Only points. Because of your luck, each of you obtained 2,000 points. The mechanical voice became emotionless again. Okay. Damn girl, quickly go to the next level. The last level has a big prize. There are already 2 teams there, the mechanical voice reminded. What prize? Leng Ruoxue asked curiously. She didn't want to waste her energy if it wasn't something that could move her. What you want the most? Then the mechanical voice disappeared. What do I want the most? Leng Ruoxue frowned in thought. What she wanted the most now was a 1,000-year-old fire lotus. But fire lotuses had to grow in places with rich fire element or in volcanoes. However, according to Butterfly, there was no such place in the mystic realm, so she didn't have much hope of finding a fire lotus here. Shuer, let's continue. Leng Qingtian looked at his granddaughter, who was lost in thought. Leng Ruoxue looked at the teleportation array by the wall. Alright, let's go to the left. Then everyone stepped in. After entering, they were surprised to find themselves in another room. Moreover, the layout of the room was exactly the same as the one before. Lucky damn girl, you can pass directly again, and your reward is 4,000 points. It didn't give Leng Ruoxue time to ask more questions and directly disappeared after speaking. Lass. Look at how scared it is. It actually escaped so quickly this time. Old Zhao said excitedly. Okay, still the one on the left, Leng Ruoxue said without hesitation and walked in first. Everyone followed closely behind and entered as well. It was yet another secret room, and the layout was almost the same as the one in the first level. Moreover, there was another team of about a dozen people in the secret room. When the 2 teams saw each other, they were both stunned and then stared at each other with wide eyes. Leng Ruoxue's beautiful eyes sized them up. There were a total of 12 people in this team, 8 spiritual supremacies and 4 peak spiritual sovereigns. Such a team would definitely be considered a formidable force in the mystic realm. Hello, I am Ming Huan. The young man leading the group greeted them sincerely. This man named Ming Huan was in his early 20s, had handsome features, and an outstanding temperament. He was an intermediate spiritual supremacy. Leng Ruoxue, these people are my family, Leng Ruoxue said simply. We are from the Ming family of the Lingyun continent. May I ask about you? Ming Huan asked curiously. The team in front of him only had 10 people, but each of them was stronger than them. Therefore, he had to humble himself and take the initiative to befriend them. After all, it was better to have one more friend than one more enemy in such a mysterious place. We are from the Ling Feng continent, Leng Ruoxue said indifferently while thinking, why hasn't that voice appeared yet? Suddenly, the teleportation array lit up, and another team walked in. Ming Huan. Ha, I didn't expect to meet you here. This is great. The man who spoke grinned, and his handsome face was full of viciousness. It's indeed a little coincidental, Ming Huan said indifferently without any expression on his face. Ming Huan, why don't we join forces? When the time comes, we can split the treasures in the labyrinth equally, the man proposed directly, ignoring Leng Ruoxue and the others. It's not only our 2 teams here. Ming Huan reminded after glancing at Leng Ruoxue and the others. So what? Our 2 teams are definitely the strongest. The other teams are not qualified to compete with us, the man said confidently. He had a trump card. Let's talk about the last level. Ming Huan said coldly. While dealing with the man, Ming Huan sent Leng Ruoxue a voice transmission. Miss Leng, this man's name is Zhu Feng, and he's also from the Lingyun continent. But he isn't a good person, so be careful. Got it. Thank you, Leng Ruoxue replied politely while looking at the team that entered last. This team had the largest number of people among their 3 teams, with a total of 25 people. Moreover, spiritual supremacies alone accounted for 2/3 of the entire team. It was no wonder that Zhu Feng was so confident. Their team was indeed very strong. Chapter 280, Tough Love, 4. While waiting, Zhu Feng looked around, and his eyes lit up in amazement when he saw Leng Ruoxue. She was so beautiful. May I ask your good name, miss? Zhu Feng walked to Leng Ruoxue and struck up a conversation with her, thinking that he was very gentlemanly. Leng Ruoxue looked at the slightly chubby man with turbid eyes and a vulgar face with disgust in her heart. She said innocently, Grandpa said that I'm not allowed to talk to strange men. Men are not good and only lie to little girls. Ah! The old men and the others were dumbfounded when they heard what Ruoxue said. Lass! You scolded all men. Ling Qingtian felt even more wronged. Darling granddaughter. How can you wrong your grandpa? When did grandpa say such things? Big brother isn't a bad person. Big brother can go to your home to propose marriage once I know your name. Zhu Feng smiled. Propose marriage? What's propose marriage? Is this it? Leng Ruoxue's clear and beautiful eyes blinked innocently twice. Then she raised her hand and slapped Zhu Feng directly on the face. How dare you hit our young master? You must be tired of living. Zhu Feng's lackey hurriedly hollered when he saw his young master being hit by a woman. Woo! This dog beside Big Brother Zhu is so fierce. A scared expression appeared on Leng Ruoxue's face, and her beautiful eyes welled up with tears. Don't be scared. Don't be scared. They don't bite. Zhu Feng's heart immediately softened when he saw the bowtie's pitiful appearance with tears in her eyes. He had long thrown away his displeasure from being slapped just now. Big Brother Zhu, are you sure? Grandpa said that if you get bitten by a dog, you will get sick, Leng Ruoxue asked uncertainly with tears in her beautiful eyes. Yes, I'm sure. They promise not to bite, Zhu Feng coaxed with a forced smile. But he was gritting his teeth in hatred. Why is this little bowtie's grandfather so troublesome? Leng Qingtian was on the verge of tears when he saw the old men beside him holding back their laughter. Darling! You wronged Grandpa again. Boo-hoo! Big Brother Zhu, were you happy with that slap just now? I heard someone say that this is tough love, Leng Ruoxue said with a light smile, her absolutely beautiful smile making heaven and earth lose color. Yes, I'm happy. Zhu Feng was smitten by this beautiful smile. At this moment, he only wanted to please the beauty and couldn't care less about anything else. Then Big Brother Zhu, do you want to be happier? Leng Ruoxue's beautiful face was full of mystery, and the killing intent in her eyes flashed for a moment. Yes, of course I do. Zhu Feng began to let his imagination run wild. Is the beauty going to throw herself into my arms? That's great. Leng Ruoxue released the 5 silver wolves and said with a smile, help me express my gratitude to Big Brother Zhu. Master, we will definitely let him understand your intentions, Silver Wings promised. Humph. How dare he have any ideas about Master? He really doesn't know the meaning of death. Beauty, what are you doing? Zhu Feng asked in shock. Hitting is affection, and cursing is love. Leng Ruoxue said with a sweet smile. The moment she finished speaking, the 5 silver wolves threw Zhu Feng to the ground and began violently scratching his body with their large and sharp claws. Aha! A shrill scream instantly sounded in everyone's ears. Young master! Zhu Feng's subordinates hurriedly stepped forward to save him. Feng Zhan blocked in front of the Zhu family and said coldly, didn't you hear what my master said? Hitting is affection, and cursing is love. Humph. How dare you hit our young master? You must be tired of living. If you know what's good for you, get out of the way quickly. Otherwise, I'll teach you a lesson, a middle-aged man in the Zhu family's team roared. Are you talking to me? Feng Zhan's dark red phoenix eyes narrowed. His tone was unfriendly, and he deliberately unleashed his might. Ah! This is a spiritual deity. Everyone from the Zhu family was shocked, their faces horrified. Although the Zhu family had the advantage in numbers, it was not worth mentioning in front of a spiritual deity. That man in red is a spiritual deity. Ming Huan, who was watching the commotion not far away, murmured in surprise. But he was also puzzled. Aren't only spiritual supremacies allowed in here? Why is there a spiritual deity? Which of your eyes saw that I am a spiritual deity? Feng Zhan questioned with some displeasure. Someone from the Zhu family gathered his courage and asked carefully, if you're not a spiritual deity, then what are you? You don't deserve to know. All you need to know is that no one is allowed to save this pig head before my master has had enough fun, Feng Zhan said in an incomparably overbearing manner. So what if you have the strength of a spiritual deity? Our Zhu family has so many people here, but you're only one person. You're not our match at all, a young man without much experience in the Zhu family suddenly said loudly. Zhu Neng, shut up, an old man in his 60s scolded before Feng Zhan could say anything. The old man's face was full of smiles as he said to Feng Zhan very respectfully, Your Excellency, I'm really sorry. This child is insensible. Please don't take it to heart. Of course I won't bicker with an insensible child. But I don't know if others will bicker with you, Feng Zhan said meaningfully with a smile that could enchant all living things on his handsome face. Feng Zhan, come back. Leng Ruoxua called out softly. Upon hearing this, Feng Zhan obediently returned to Leng Ruoxua's side and whispered, Master, why didn't we kill the Zhu family members? They're really an eyesore. Do you want to be someone else's goon? Leng Ruoxua asked lightly and glanced at the Ming family. Humph. There's a price to pay for using me. I don't want to. I mean, why don't we eliminate them all and let these people fight in hell together? Feng Zhan whispered evilly. After all, in his eyes, everyone other than his master and his master's people were dispensable. Chapter 281, I want the 10,000-year-old fire Lotus, 1, now is not the time. There are still 2 levels, Leng Ruoxua reminded. If the treasures in the last level caught her attention, and these people insisted on snatching them from her, then they couldn't blame her for being ruthless. Swear, I'll leave you for a while, the little mink, who had been staying quietly in Leng Ruoxua's arms, suddenly said. Then he transformed into a ray of silver light and dashed out. The little silver mink rushed to the side of Zhu Feng, who was already in a miserable state. His eyes released waves of cold light, and his sharp claws flashed, striking an important area below Zhu Feng's abdomen. Damn pig head, how dare you have any ideas about Shuer? Humph. I definitely won't let you go. The little mink thought resentfully. Aha! Aha! Zhu Feng screamed in pain. But even after he fainted from the pain, the little mink slapped him awake again. Ball, who found it amusing, also flew over, and his little pink paws bounced vigorously on Zhu Feng's body. Elder, what should we do? Someone from the Zhu family whispered. What can we do? Can you beat that red-clothed man? The old man addressed as elder said very pragmatically, but he couldn't help but sigh in his heart. Alas! The young master will most likely become useless. Everyone from the Ming family had the mentality of just watching the show, but they were terrified seeing what was happening. What kind of pet beast was this? How could a man survive with an important part of him attacked? Zhu Feng was so pitiful. Leng Ruoxua and the others were also dumbfounded as they watched. After the little silver mink was done, he released a stream of water attributes spiritual power to wash his little paws. Then he jumped back into Leng Ruoxu's arms and lay down gently. His entire movement was as smooth as flowing water. Big sister. Bal Bal was also done playing and flew back to Leng Ruoxu's side. But the bloodstains on his pink claws made him awkward. Bal Bal looked at his dirty little paws and then at Leng Ruoxue with tears in his eyes. Big sister, my paws are dirty. Boo-hoo, Leng Ruoxue shook her head helplessly and released a water orb to wash Bal Bal's paws. She then coaxed, okay, it's clean. Big sister, Bal Bal likes big sisters so much, Bal Bal said coquettishly as he flew onto Leng Ruoxu's shoulder, and his chubby little body gently rubbed against her beautiful face. Big sister likes Bal Bal too. Leng Ruoxue said as she caressed his soft fur. Hee hee. Bal Bal laughed happily. Welcome to the 4th level of the desert labyrinth. The 4th level is to kill all the monsters here. Moreover, I have to remind you that you must cooperate in order to complete this level, regardless of the enmity between you. Otherwise, you won't be able to complete this level. The mechanical voice finally appeared. Silver Wings, come back. Leng Ruoxue said very kindly before Zhu Feng was tortured to death. Yes, master. After the silver wolves gave a final vicious strike, they went back to Leng Ruoxu's side. Silver Wings gently raised his front paw and kicked Zhu Feng, whose body was covered in claw marks and blood and whose clothes had long become strips of cloth, back to the Zhu family. Young master. The Zhu family elder hurriedly took out a pill and stuffed it into Zhu Feng's mouth. His face was full of disappointment. Humph. How many times have I told the young master that lust is like a knife? But he didn't listen. Great, now you've been taught a lesson. However, what made him angrier was that he couldn't take revenge. Leng Ruoxue ignored the hateful gazes of the Zhu family members and turned her head to remind everyone, Grandpa, everyone, be careful. Okay. Shuer, you should be careful too. I'm afraid that the Zhu family will do something under the table, Ling Qingtian reminded her. They don't dare to do it now. Otherwise, no one will be able to pass this level. But it's hard to say what will happen in the next level, Leng Ruoxue analyzed. Shaw. 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 While Leng Ruoxue and the others were whispering, a rustling sound came. Afterward, countless bugs emerged from the ground. Among these bugs were ants, scorpions, and centipedes. Moreover, every bug was the size of a millstone. The few huge bugs leading the way were several times larger than the ordinary bugs. Damn it, more bugs again. Leng Ruoxue said depressedly, and she was already cursing the spirit of the mystic realm. Can't that spirit of the mystic realm do anything other than these disgusting things? Miss Leng, looks like we have to cooperate, Ming Huan said loudly while looking at Leng Ruoxue. Leng Ruoxue glanced at the Zhu family elder and said mockingly, well, this level requires everyone to cooperate, so don't drag us down. Our Zhu family won't drag you down. Humph. Let's wait and see, the Zhu family elder hollered back, unable to bear the agitation. I hope so. Leng Ruoxue smiled nonchalantly. Do it. Leng Ruoxue ordered as she looked at the disgusting bugs. The moment Leng Ruoxue finished speaking, the Ming family moved together. With the cooperation of the two teams, the number of bugs quickly decreased by a third. Grandpa, I found that the bugs in this level seem to be very easy to deal with, but there are just too many of them. Leng Ruoxue took the opportunity to send a voice transmission to Ling Qingtian. Yes, Grandpa also discovered it, Ling Qingtian replied. He continuously unleashed his spiritual skills, immediately killing large numbers of bugs. Do the Zhu family like to watch the commotions so much? Leng Ruoxue's beautiful eyes glanced at the Zhu family members standing by the side in a daze, her face full of disdain. Hee hee, Miss Leng, the Zhu family has always been like this. Don't count on them, Ming Huan added oil to the fire. Oh, I see. Leng Ruoxu's face was full of realization. Damn girl, we are not such people, the Zhu family elder roared furiously. What are you waiting for? Hurry up and attack, lest a woman looks down on us, the Zhu family elder shouted at the people around him. Chapter 282, I want the 10,000-year-old fire lotus, 2. Oh. The Zhu family members seemed to have only reacted at this moment. They hurriedly used their spiritual skills to kill the bugs. In the secret room, colorful spiritual skills were flying all over the sky. Wherever these spiritual skills went, countless bugs died or were injured. About half an hour later, they killed all the bugs, but the mechanical voice did not appear. Schwer, there's something wrong, isn't there? Leng Ruhan couldn't help asking. Logically speaking, that voice should have appeared after they killed all the bugs. But probably because we haven't completed the task yet. Everyone, be alert. Leng Ruoxue said after some thought. Just as everyone was feeling puzzled, countless more bugs emerged from the ground. Moreover, their numbers and strength were at least twice as strong as the previous batch. Let's begin. Leng Ruoxue said helplessly and attacked first. Lass. How long do we have to fight? Old Zhao couldn't help asking. He had not exercised his old bones like this for a long time. Boo-hoo. So tiring. Fight until that voice appears, Leng Ruoxue said calmly. If there were no outsiders here, she would have released all her beasts long ago. Alas. Fighting is so physically demanding. Old man exclaimed. An hour later, everyone worked together and eliminated all the bugs again, but the voice still didn't appear. Damn it. What's the meaning of this? Someone from the Zhu family cursed. Schwer, haven't we completed the task yet? Leng Qingtian was puzzled. This lousy task was too tormenting. Fortunately, they had pills, and their spiritual power recovered quickly. Otherwise, they would definitely be exhausted to death if this continued. Grandpa, don't worry. We will complete it, Leng Ruoxue comforted. After a while, countless bugs swarmed up from the ground again. The number this time was twice as many as before. Leng Ruoxue looked at the densely packed bugs and snorted in her heart. Spirit of the mystic realm, this better be the last time. Otherwise, I will destroy this place. Let's do it. Leng Ruoxue said coldly. Before Leng Ruoxue finished speaking, everyone impatiently started killing the bugs. They raised their hands and slashed down, and spiritual power flew everywhere. The bugs died one after another. Moreover, everyone attacked ruthlessly. Clearly, they were venting the anger they had been accumulating for a long time on the unlucky bugs. After a while, when everyone eliminated all the bugs again, the mechanical voice finally appeared. Congratulations on passing the 4th level. Each of you will obtain 5,000 points. Now, you can go to the next level. Hehe, even though there are still 2 portals, you don't have to make a choice because they will transport you to the same place. Ha, the mechanical voice laughed hysterically. Leng Ruoxue held back her anger and looked at everyone around her. In that case, let's go. Let's go. Leng Qingtian and the others nodded and stepped into the portal together. After the light flashed and disappeared, Leng Ruoxue and the others were teleported to the last level of the desert labyrinth. Leng Ruoxue looked at the environment in front of her. This secret room should be the largest in the entire labyrinth. In the corner of the secret room, there were also 2 golden portals, and 2 teams were already waiting here. The people from the 2 teams were stunned when they saw Leng Ruoxue's team. But they quickly recovered and nodded at them in a friendly manner. After Leng Ruoxue's team arrived, Ming Huan's and the Zhu family's teams also arrived. I'm very happy that you all reached the last level of the desert labyrinth safe and sound. This last level is the most difficult one in the entire labyrinth. In addition, only 3 out of your 5 teams can leave the labyrinth safely, the mechanical voice said excitedly. What do you mean by only 3 teams can leave safely? Ming Huan asked in puzzlement. Only 3 teams can get out alive, the mechanical voice explained. Then those who can't get out will die here. Leng Ruoxue frowned slightly. Yes, 2 other teams must die. But it's up to you who lives and who dies, the mechanical voice said, trying to shift the blame. Do you mean that you want us 5 teams to kill each other? Leng Ruoxue asked coldly. Yes, ha. This is the rule of the labyrinth. There are only 3 rewards for the last level, the mechanical voice laughed irresponsibly. What if only 1 team survives in the end? The Zhu family elders suddenly asked. Then all the rewards will belong to the living team, of course, the mechanical voice said matter-of-factly. Tell me about the rewards first. Leng Ruoxue said. This was what she was most concerned about. Ha! Alright, the first among you will obtain 2 sacred artifacts, 1 offensive and 1 defensive. Second place will obtain 2 divine beasts, and you can contract them directly without needing to tame them. Third place will obtain a 10,000-year-old fire lotus, the mechanical voice explained. There's actually a 10,000-year-old fire lotus. Great! It seemed that the spirit of the mystic realm was not lying to her. It was indeed what she wanted the most. But she only needed a 1,000-year-old one. Would a 10,000-year-old one be a problem? As an alchemist, she was very clear that the older the medicinal herbs, the higher the grade, and the better the quality of the concocted pills. However, pills of excellent quality might not be what she needed because both pills and spirit fruits had to be at the same level as the consumer to consume them without any danger. Therefore, she was a little worried whether the pills concocted by a 10,000-year-old fire lotus would be useful to Freak. Sure, a 10,000-year-old fire lotus will work, the little silver mink said anxiously. He was so excited. Boo-hoo. I didn't expect to find a 10,000-year-old fire lotus here. This is great. I finally don't have to stay in this mink's body anymore. Chapter 283, I want the 10,000-year-old fire lotus, 3, are you sure? Leng Ruoxue couldn't help asking. The effects of pills concocted from medicinal herbs that were 1,000 years and 10,000 years were different. If Freak consumed one, he might not be able to bear the power of the pill, causing his body to explode in a violent death. This wasn't the result she wanted. Yes, I'm sure. The little silver mink nodded vigorously. A 1,000-year-old fire lotus was the lowest requirement, and of course, a 10,000-year-old one was better. But a 10,000-year-old fire lotus was not easy to find, so a 1,000-year-old one was acceptable. Alright. Then I must obtain the 10,000-year-old fire lotus, Leng Ruoxue said with determination. Lass. If the 10,000-year-old fire lotus is the reward for 3rd place, wouldn't we be getting 3rd place? Old Zhao said helplessly. With their strength, they could get 1st place without a problem. But this girl just had to get 3rd place. Wasn't this too much? However, the rewards for 1st and 2nd place were indeed useless to them. Only alchemists could use the reward for 3rd place, and others obtaining it would just be for decoration. 3rd place is of course the best, Leng Ruoxue said lightly. She didn't want to start a killing spree unless necessary, so these people had better be sensible and not compete for it with her. Otherwise, she would make them regret coming to this world. So what if our hands are covered in blood in order to save Freak? Miss Leng, shall we join forces? Ming Huan suddenly sent a voice transmission to Leng Ruoxue. Although Leng Ruoxue's team had the least number of people, Ming Huan absolutely didn't dare to underestimate them. The strength and ruthlessness they had just displayed in the 4th level had deeply shocked him. Of the 5 teams present, the first 2 to arrive had obviously reached some sort of agreement, and the Zhu family also had the idea of monopolizing all the rewards. So they had to find an ally for themselves. Only in this way would the chance of survival be higher. Among the few teams here, only Leng Ruoxue's team was the most suitable for them. Therefore, he took the initiative to request to join forces. Yes, but I want the 10,000-year-old fire lotus. Leng Ruoxue directly stated her request. No problem, Ming Huan answered readily. Although a 10,000-year-old fire lotus was precious, it wasn't useful at all to them. Instead, he was more interested in the sacred artifacts or divine beasts. After a moment of silence, the mechanical voice said, "Ha, you can start fighting now." None of the 5 teams attacked first but instead observed each other. Miss Leng, which team should we fight first? Ming Huan asked via voice transmission. The Zhu family, of course, Leng Ruoxue said lightly. The Zhu family elder's question just now had probably angered the other 2 teams. It might be what they were all thinking, but at such a sensitive time, whoever raised it first would become everyone's eyesore. Okay, Ming Huan agreed. The Zhu family was the Ming family's biggest rival. They would benefit the most by getting rid of the Zhu family. Let's wait and see first, Leng Ruoxue reminded. Okay. Ming Huan led his team back a few steps and stayed in a corner. In the middle of the secret room, only the 2 teams that arrived first and the Zhu family were left. The leaders of the 2 teams looked at Leng Ruoxue, Ming Huan, and the others in the corner, exchanged glances, and then launched an attack against the Zhu family together. The reason they attacked the Zhu family first was not only for the question just now but also because the Zhu family was the largest and most powerful among the 5 teams. So they unanimously believed that the Zhu family was their greatest enemy. As for Leng Ruoxue, Ming Huan, and the others, they didn't take them seriously at all. Damn it! How dare you attack our Zhu family, the Zhu family elder roared furiously. He originally wanted to let them kill each other first, but he never expected that his team would become the first target. The 3 teams quickly got into a brawl, while Leng Ruoxue, Ming Huan, and the others simply sat on the ground and watched the tigers fight on the mountain. Miss Leng, those 2 teams are very strong. Ming Huan transmitted his voice while watching the battle. Yes, the Zhu family isn't weak either. Leng Ruoxue replied. There were more than 30 people in the 2 teams, with nearly 20 spiritual supremacies. On the surface, they seemed to have the upper hand. But no one could guarantee that the Zhu family didn't have any trump cards. After all, the fact that so many people from the Zhu family could enter was enough to illustrate the problem. Swear, after they deal with the Zhu family, they should turn to deal with us, right? Leng Qingtian said while looking at the situation on the battlefield. Okay, let's prepare. Leng Ruoxue reminded and turned her gaze to the 3 teams. In the battle, the 3 teams had already suffered casualties, with the Zhu family suffering the greatest. There were originally 25 people, but only 5 remained. 4 of them were seriously injured, and only the Zhu family elder was still hanging on. You pieces of trash, I will make you regret it. The Zhu family elder looked at his opponents with hatred in his eyes and then chose to self-explode. Leng Ruoxue was quick-witted. When she felt that something was amiss, she swiftly set up a barrier to protect herself and her group. When Ming Huan realized what was happening, he hurriedly took out a defensive sacred artifact to isolate the blast of the Zhu family elder's self-explosion. They were unscathed, but the 2 teams in the middle of the self-explosion were not so lucky. Although the spiritual supremacies in the 2 teams were still alive, they were all seriously injured. Those below spiritual supremacy, including the 4 remaining people from the Zhu family, were all brought away by the Zhu family elder to meet their maker. Leng Ruoxue, Ming Huan, and the others stood up and walked to the center of the secret room. Ming Huan, don't you think we should thank Elder Zhe? Leng Ruoxue said regretfully as she looked at the nearly 20 spiritual supremacies who were still alive but covered in wounds. Yes, we should thank him. But we should thank Zhu Feng even more. If he didn't die early, the Zhu family wouldn't have disappeared so quickly, Ming Huan said happily. Zhu Feng carried the Zhu family's secret weapon. If he hadn't died first, the Zhu family wouldn't have been destroyed so quickly. Chapter 284, I want the 10,000-year-old fire lotus. 4, yes, that makes sense. Leng Ruoxua nodded in agreement. That pig head had become scared silly after being taught a lesson by her silver wolves. Afterward, he was the first to die in battle. Alas! He was a young master after all, but he died before he could even perform well. How pitiful. Do you want to take advantage of our perilous situation? A middle-aged man couldn't help asking Leng Ruoxua and the others. Don't worry. I won't take advantage of you, Leng Ruoxua comforted with a smile. She turned to Ming Huan's team. Ming Huan, I'll leave these people to you. Men don't have to care too much about their reputation. When the middle-aged man first heard Leng Ruoxua's words, he felt relieved. But the explanation she gave afterward made him so angry that he vomited blood. A few drops of cold sweat dripped down Ming Huan's and the others' foreheads, and they couldn't help feeling uncomfortable in their hearts. Great miss. Men also care about their reputation. Take advantage of his injuries and take his life. Why don't you hurry up and attack? We will be the ones dying when they recover. Leng Ruoxua reminded very kindly. Do it. Ming Huan ordered coldly. With Ming Huan's order, the entire Ming family took action and sent all the survivors of these two teams to hell. Then they took the initiative to clean up the battlefield. Well done, Leng Ruoxua praised. Killing 3 teams without even needing to do it herself felt pretty good. Thank you for the compliment, Ming Huan said cooperatively with 2 drops of cold sweat dripping down his forehead. Young master, we've collected the spoils of war, one of Ming Huan's subordinates reported. Miss Leng, shall we split the spoils equally? Ming Huan asked very politely. I have no objections, Leng Ruoxua said indifferently. She didn't care about spoils of war at all. The only thing she cared about was the 10,000-year-old fire lotus. Hey, we only have 2 teams now. Come out now. Leng Ruoxua shouted into the void. Miss Leng, Ming Huan was at a loss for words. This Leng Ruoxua was really too formidable. She actually demanded that the other come out now. Alas! Who would come out just because she said so? But the truth surprised him. Damn girl, what are you shouting for? You haven't decided who won yet, the mechanical voice said with slight displeasure. We've already decided. I'm third. Quick, give me the 10,000-year-old fire lotus. Leng Ruoxua urged loudly without any trace of politeness. All right. Here, catch, the mechanical voice said strangely. Damn it. I want the 10,000-year-old fire lotus. What the hell is this? Leng Ruoxua looked at the reward that appeared out of thin air in her hand and felt depressed. Leng Ruoxua's beautiful eyes stared hard at the little thing in her hand that was less than the size of an adult's palm. She was extremely depressed. Don't tell me this is the 10,000-year-old fire lotus. This is obviously a kitten. And it's a kitten that hasn't opened its eyes yet. The kitten in her hand was entirely fiery red and covered in fluffy fur. On its small head was a red fire lotus the size of a fingernail. Its nose, mouth, and little claws were all pink and tender. Leng Ruoxua's face was full of doubts as she looked at the small fire lotus that couldn't be any smaller. She pondered in her heart. Could this small fire lotus be the 10,000-year-old fire lotus, and this cat is a free gift? Leng Qingtian and the others were also puzzled along with Leng Ruoxua. Ah! Why is it a cat? Is the spirit of the mystic realm messing with us? Is this the 10,000-year-old fire lotus? Ming Huan asked curiously. Was he seeing things? The 10,000-year-old fire lotus was obviously a plant, but this was clearly a small animal. This is a cat, right? Leng Ruhan asked uncertainly. This is a cat. Leng Ruoxua suppressed her anger. Butterfly flapped its wings and flew over. Girl, don't be angry. This is really a 10,000-year-old fire lotus. Do you think I don't know what a cat looks like? Leng Ruoxua roared furiously. Girl, it's already a 10,000-year-old fire lotus. Of course, it might be in this state. Moreover, it's not a cat. It's the spirit of the 10,000-year-old fire lotus, Butterfly quickly explained. It was a sprite, so its senses couldn't be wrong. The spirit of the 10,000-year-old fire lotus is actually a cat? Feng Moran said in disbelief. This was too magical. Are you sure? Ball, what do you think? Leng Ruoxue didn't really believe Butterfly and turned to ask Ball, who was lying on her shoulder. Yes, I'm very sure, Butterfly promised. Big sister, it's a treasure, Ball said with certainty as he looked at the red kitten in Leng Ruoxue's hand. At this moment, the kitten in Leng Ruoxue's hand suddenly opened its eyes. Its big pink eyes were moist and shiny, unbelievably beautiful. The kitten sniffed around with its pink nose, then raised its head and called Leng Ruoxue sweetly, Mommy. The word mommy shocked Leng Ruoxue so much that she broke out in a cold sweat. She instinctively swung her arm, throwing the red kitten into the air. Ah! Everyone couldn't help exclaiming as they broke out in cold sweat for the little guy in their hearts. Suddenly, a red figure soared into the sky and caught the kitten who was about to fall to the ground. That was close. Everyone heaved a sigh of relief. Mommy! The kitten's beautiful pink eyes were full of tears as he looked at Leng Ruoxue pitifully. Boo-hoo, does Mommy hate me? I'm sorry. I didn't do it on purpose. Leng Ruoxue felt a little guilty. She took the cat with tears in his eyes from Feng Zhan. Ah! She was just shocked. Does Mommy hate little fire? The kitten said sadly as tears welled up in his eyes. I don't hate you, Leng Ruoxue quickly coaxed. A few drops of cold sweat rolled down her forehead unconsciously, and she sighed in her heart. Boo-hoo. Why do I always have to coax children? Does Mommy like little fire? The little kitten asked stubbornly. Ah. I like you, Leng Ruoxue said honestly. This little fellow was indeed quite cute, but she would like him more if he didn't call her Mommy. Chapter 285, Awakening, the tofu near my lips disappeared. 1. Little fire likes Mommy too, the kitten said happily. Little fire. Can you not call me Mommy? Leng Ruoxue was at a loss for words. Boo-hoo. I'm not married yet. Why? Mommy is the first person I saw when I opened my eyes, so you are my mother, little fire said stubbornly. Little fire, you can call me big sister. Leng Ruoxue coaxed patiently. Little fire doesn't want to. Mommy is Mommy. Boo-hoo. Mommy hates little fire. Tears welled up in little fire's eyes and dripped onto the ground like pearls. Okay, don't cry. If you continue crying, I really won't want you anymore, Leng Ruoxue threatened, feeling a little headache. I won't cry anymore. Mommy, don't abandon me. Little fire quickly stopped crying and lay on Leng Ruoxue's palm obediently. Good. Leng Ruoxue caressed little fire's soft fur. Ha, damn girl, I've given you the 10,000-year-old fire lotus you wanted. You have to take good care of it. The mechanical voice sounded a little smug. Don't worry. I'll take good care of it, Leng Ruoxue said through gritted teeth. What about our other rewards? Leng Ruoxue asked. Each of you will receive 25,000 points. This is the reward for the top 2. Also, you can scram now. A ring floated to Ming Huan's hand, and then the mechanical voice completely disappeared. Miss Leng, we have divided the rewards for first and second equally, Ming Huan said. No need. We don't need them. But I want to know what those 2 divine beasts are, Leng Ruoxue said curiously. Let me see. Ming Huan dripped a drop of blood onto the ring and then sent his divine sense inside. It's a snake and a scorpion, Ming Huan said after looking at them. The Snake King and the Scorpion King. Leng Ruoxue narrowed her beautiful eyes coldly. Yes, Ming Huan answered fearfully, but he was puzzled. Does Leng Ruoxue have a feud with these two beasts? Ming Huan, I need some snake venom and scorpion venom. Let them out to spit some out for me. Leng Ruoxue said with a light smile. Okay. Ming Huan knew that he had taken the biggest advantage, so he couldn't refuse Leng Ruoxue's small request. Ming Huan released the Snake King and the Scorpion King from the ring. But for some reason, the two beasts felt fear in their hearts as they looked at Leng Ruoxue not far away. Leng Ruoxue took out two small jade bottles, placed them in front of the two beasts, and commanded in a tone that accepted no refusal, "Fill my bottles with your poison." Ah! The two beasts looked at each other, but neither of them moved. Didn't you hear what my master said? Feng Zhan's dark red phoenix eyes narrowed with displeasure. Yes, sir. The two beasts were terrified, and they were resigned to their fates as they began to spit out the venom. Swear, why can these small bottles of yours hold so much? Leng Ruhan whispered in puzzlement. The Snake King and the Scorpion King had been spitting for 2 hours, and they were so tired that they were about to collapse, but the small jade bottles were still not full. It was too unbelievable. Of course it's because they were refined with a special technique. There is basically a space inside, Leng Ruoxue explained simply. Upon hearing what his sister said, Leng Ruhan felt some pity for the Snake King and the Scorpion King. Alas! How pitiful! But your subordinates offended our little princess. Serves you right for suffering. Another hour later, the Snake King and the Scorpion King were still spitting venom into the jade bottles. Alright, that's enough. Seems like you won't be able to fill them, Leng Ruoxue said with some dissatisfaction. Her face was full of contempt, as though she was saying, "You're really too useless." Upon hearing that they didn't need to spit anymore, the two beasts collapsed onto the ground while panting heavily from exhaustion. If not for the fact that they were really too tired, Leng Ruoxue's words would definitely have made them vomit blood. Helplessly, Ming Huan stored the two exhausted divine beasts back into his ring and then said to Leng Ruoxue, "Miss Leng, let's go." Okay, please go first. Leng Ruoxue said politely. Farewell. Ming Huan nodded at Leng Ruoxue and the others before leaving with his team. Grandpa, shall we leave? Leng Ruoxue asked after Ming Huan and his team left. Let's go. Leng Qingtian nodded. Everyone walked toward the teleportation array together. Lass. Which one should we choose? Old Zao asked curiously, not knowing where their next destination would be. Right. Leng Ruoxue said after some thought. Since Ming Huan's team chose the left one, they had to choose the right one. After choosing, everyone set off. After another flash of light, Leng Ruoxue and the others were transported to a mountain range. Butterfly flew in front of Leng Ruoxue and said happily, "Girl, a mountain range isn't bad." Yes. Leng Ruoxue nodded. She looked at the steep mountain range shrouded in white mist from halfway up the mountains, which towered into the clouds, and a feeling of heroism welled up in her. Grandpa, let's spend the night outside the mountains. Well, go in early tomorrow. Leng Ruoxue said to Leng Qingtian and the others after some thought. Okay. We've been hungry for some time. Leng Qingtian nodded in agreement. After everyone went back into the bracelet, they had dinner and then returned to their rooms to rest. Holding the little mink in her arms, Leng Ruoxue entered the purple bamboo house. Leng Ruoxue's mood was very complicated as she looked at Freak lying on the purple jade bed. Swear, what's wrong? The little silver mink couldn't help asking when he saw that she was a little down. I want to save Freak, Leng Ruoxue said slowly after a while. With the 10,000-year-old fire lotus, he can wake up as long as you concoct a fire lotus pill, the little silver mink said happily. Boo-hoo. I can finally wake up. It really wasn't easy. Chapter 286, Awakening, the tofu near my lips disappeared, too, but the 10,000-year-old fire lotus is actually, Leng Ruoxue was at a loss. The spirit of the 10,000-year-old fire lotus was already born and looked so cute, so she really couldn't do it. Schwer, he won't wake up without the fire lotus pill. The little silver mink pointed at Freak. You're right. Freak is more important to me. Len Ruoshua steeled her heart. Little fire, I'm sorry. I can only sacrifice you for him. After making up her mind, Len Ruoshua left the purple bamboo house to find Little Fire. Mommy. Seeing Len Ruoshua, Little Fire immediately dashed over and threw himself into her arms, acting coquettishly. Little Fire, what are you doing? Len Ruoshua asked curiously. They were playing with me, and they even told me a lot about Mommy, Little Fire said in a childish voice while pointing at Fengde and the others. Oh. Len Ruoshua responded lightly and looked at Fengde and the others with some displeasure. Ah. Miss, we're going to bed. Fengde and the others saw Len Ruoxu's unfriendly gaze and quickly escaped in fright. Mom, do you need Little Fire to concoct a pill? Little Fire asked, his pure and clear pink eyes looking at Len Ruoshua without blinking. Len Ruoshua didn't expect Little Fire to ask this question. For a moment, she didn't know how to answer. She needed Little Fire to concoct the fire lotus pill, and she had already made up her mind. But seeing Little Fire's simple and cute appearance, she couldn't bear to. Boo-hoo. What should I do? Mommy, Little Fire wants to save Daddy. Use Little Fire to concoct the pill. Little Fire said seriously with tears in his eyes, his beautiful pink eyes full of reluctance. Little Fire. Len Ruoxu's eyes welled up with tears. She didn't expect Little Fire to take the initiative to sacrifice himself. She couldn't be cruel to a cute little fellow like Little Fire even though she didn't care about her hands being covered in blood for the sake of Freak. The little mink, who was following Len Ruoshua, was a little touched to hear that Little Fire was willing to sacrifice himself to save him, especially since the little fellow actually called him Daddy. He really didn't know how to describe his feelings. Am I really going to sacrifice this little thing? He was also hesitant. He admitted that this little fellow calling him Daddy softened his usually cold heart. In fact, thinking about it carefully, even though he couldn't return to his body now, he was at least alive and had not separated from Schwer. If this little thing was really concocted into the pill, he wouldn't be able to survive. Schwer, why don't we look for another fire lotus? The little silver mink said with some hesitation. Alas. He should be soft-hearted for once on the account that the little fellow called him Daddy. Mommy, Little Fire is the best fire lotus, so use Little Fire. Little Fire said. He had already decided that he liked his mommy so much. Little Fire, do you understand what alchemy is? Len Ruoshua asked with tears in her beautiful eyes. I know. As a heavenly material and earthly treasure, I'm very clear about my destiny. I'm very happy that Mommy can concoct me into a pill. Little Fire raised his fluffy little head, his face full of reluctance. Little Fire, you will die if I concoct you into the pill, Len Ruoshua couldn't help reminding. I know, but even though Little Fire will die, Daddy can live again. Little Fire said happily. He wanted to save his father. Little Fire. Len Ruoshua was speechless. Big sister. Qing Ju suddenly appeared in front of them. Qing Ju, what's the matter? Len Ruoshua looked up at Qing Ju. Big sister, he doesn't need to die. You only need a drop of his blood to concoct the fire lotus pill, Qing Ju said. After observing the spirit of the 10,000-year-old fire lotus for a long time, he finally confirmed his suspicion. Really? Len Ruoshua and the little mink looked at Qing Ju together. Yes, he isn't an ordinary 10,000-year-old fire lotus, Qing Ju said mysteriously. Hee, big sister is so lucky. She even obtained something so good. There are actually ordinary 10,000-year-old fire lotuses. Len Ruoshua felt that she was too ignorant. Boo-hoo. Of course there are. Fire lotuses of 10,000 years, 100,000 years, and even 1,000,000 years are all collectively called 10,000-year-old fire lotuses, Qingju explained with a smile. Looking at her expression, he knew that she was conflicted again. Oh, little fire, how old are you? Leng Ruoxue asked curiously. After knowing that little fire didn't need to die, she immediately composed herself. It's been a long time. Little fire can't remember, little fire said gloomily. Oh, it's okay. Leng Ruoxue caressed little fire's fur. Little fire, give mommy a drop of your blood. Leng Ruoxue continued. She couldn't wait to concoct the fire lotus pill. Okay. Little fire happily stretched out his little pink paw and handed it to Leng Ruoxue. Leng Ruoxue took out a special jade bottle, condensed her spiritual power into a needle, and quickly pricked little fire's tender paw. She squeezed out a drop of blood and dripped it into the jade bottle. All right, little fire. Thank you, Leng Ruoxue said as she caressed little fire's head. Little fire is very happy to be able to help mommy. Little fire smiled happily, and his bright and watery pink eyes narrowed into a line. Qingju, I'll leave little fire to you. Big sister will go concoct the pill. Leng Ruoxue handed little fire to Qingju and then walked toward the alchemy room in the purple bamboo house. Little fire, I'll bring you to replenish your blood. With that, Qingju disappeared with little fire in his arms. After they left, the little silver mink hopped onto a stone table not far from the purple bamboo house and lay down with his eyes glued to the purple bamboo house. In the alchemy room of the purple bamboo house, Leng Ruoxue took out the pill formula again and looked at it carefully before concocting the pill. The fire lotus pill was an advanced pill. Although it was her first time concocting it, it wasn't difficult for her. She lit the furnace and waited for it to heat up. Then she put the medicinal herbs she had prepared in advance into the furnace one by one. She waited for all the herbs to dissolve into liquid before she dripped little fire's blood into the furnace. Little fire's blood quickly fused with the medicinal liquid. Then it was time to purify and condense the pill. Chapter 287, Awakening, the tofu near my lips disappeared. 3. After the pill formed, the fragrance of the fire lotus pill wafted through the entire alchemy room. Leng Ruoxue opened the alchemy furnace and saw dozens of red pills in the middle. Moreover, each pill was like a ruby dripping with blood, round, plump, and translucent. Leng Ruoxue collected the pills into a jade bottle and counted them. She didn't expect there to be more than 80 pills. This really surprised her. But she guessed that it should be due to little fire's blood. Otherwise, it would be impossible to concoct so many pills. After putting away the pills, Leng Ruoxue left the alchemy room and came to the side of Freak's bed. Freak, you can finally wake up, Leng Ruoxue murmured softly. She took out a fire lotus pill and placed it on Freak's lips. The moment the fire lotus pill touched Freak's lips, the heat of the pill immediately melted the thin ice covering his lips. Leng Ruoxue took the opportunity to send the pill into his mouth. After a while, the thin ice on his body began to melt. After a while, the cold poison in his body was forced out bit by bit. After a long while, his eyelids twitched slightly, but he still didn't wake up. Standing by the bed, Leng Ruoxue stared unblinkingly at Freak on the bed. Her entire heart was in her throat. Why isn't he awake yet? Leng Ruoxue waited anxiously. She clearly saw him move just now. After a long while, Freak finally opened his eyes. Schwer, Freak called out softly. Boo-hoo. I'm finally back. Freak. Leng Ruoxue threw herself into his arms excitedly and hugged him tightly. Tears kept flowing out of her eyes like pearls from a broken string. Schwer. Don't cry. Freak stretched out his arms and held Schwer tightly in his arms. It was great. He was finally able to hug Schwer again. But it did feel good to be in Schwer's arms every day when he was a little mink. After a while, Leng Ruoxue stopped crying and threatened fiercely, "Damn freak, if you dare to leave me again, I'll teach you a lesson." "Swear, when did I leave you? I've always been by your side." "But I was a little mink," he added in his mind. "I don't care. Anyway, you're not allowed to leave me again." Leng Ruoxue roared domineeringly. "Yes, my dear wife," Freak said fearfully, like a little wife. "Wife. I'm so hungry," Freak said coquettishly. "Hungry? What do you want to eat?" Leng Ruoxue asked. "Ah. He must be hungry after sleeping for so long. Can I eat whatever I want?" Freak asked and blinked his watery black eyes, his face full of anticipation. "Okay. Tell me what you want to eat, and I'll make it for you," Leng Ruoxue said very seriously. "Then. I want to eat tofu, one." Freak smiled like a cunning little fox, his bright black eyes blinking rapidly. "Okay, wait for me." Leng Ruoxue ran out. Freak looked at his empty arms and asked in puzzlement, "Swear, where are you going?" Leng Ruoxue left the purple bamboo house and went straight to their makeshift kitchen. In the kitchen, Leng Ruoxue stared at the tofu she just took out and calmed her heartbeat. Damn freak. He wanted to take advantage of me the moment he woke up. In fact, she understood what freak meant. It was just that she was a pure and innocent child in both her previous and current lives. Moreover, no man had dared to take advantage of her, but Freak had never let go of any opportunity. However, she would never admit that she was shy just now. "Humph. Want to take advantage of me? I'll let you have your fill then." Leng Ruoxue prepared a tofu feast and brought it to Freak. "Swear, what does this mean?" Freak looked at the plates of tofu in front of him and felt cold sweat flowing down his back. Boo-hoo, is Swear messing with me? He didn't like this tofu at all. In fact, the food he hated the most was tofu, and the only tofu he liked was Swear's. "These are all tofu. There are all sorts of flavors. You will definitely be satisfied." Leng Ruoxue smiled charmingly. "Hee, the way Freak behaves when he fails is pretty cute." "Swear, I don't want to eat this tofu," Freak said with a bitter face. He might as well make it clear so that Swear wouldn't pretend to be confused. "What tofu do you want to eat? Tell me, and I'll make it for you," Leng Ruoxue said very patiently. "I want to eat your tofu," Freak said softly while looking at Leng Ruoxue affectionately. "Oh, these are my tofu. I made all these." Leng Ruoxue continued to play dumb, but her heart was racing faster and faster. Freak took a deep breath, stretched out his long arms, and directly embraced Leng Ruoxue, who was very close to him. "Swear, cooperate with me obediently. I'll just kiss you once. I promise I won't touch you randomly," Freak coaxed as he slowly lowered his head. "Mommy, is Daddy awake?" A childish voice sounded in their ears just as his lips were less than a centimeter away from Leng Ruoxue's pink lips. Mommy, what are you doing?" Little Fire looked curiously at the two people hugging each other, his beautiful pink eyes full of puzzlement. "Ah. Not suitable for children." Leng Ruoxue hurriedly covered Little Fire's eyes and jumped out of Freak's arms. "Damn it. I was tempted by Freak just now. Boo-hoo. The composure I'm so proud of." With a face full of anger, Freak looked at Little Fire, who was his savior and a little third wheel. He didn't know whether to thank him or to give him a good beating. "Boo-hoo. The tofu near my lips disappeared. Swear will definitely be more alert in the future. Boo-hoo." Leng Ruoxue looked at the depressed-looking Freak and couldn't help laughing in her heart. In fact, it was not that she didn't want Freak to kiss her. It was just that, she wasn't ready yet. Yes, she was just not ready. She was definitely not shy. No way. 1. Eating tofu means to take advantage of a woman. You're tuning into the Blissful Bookshelf YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.